Well. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back. We're here. It's Sunday, and if you saw the picture, that was from August 7th, 2015. I was curious how long it had been since we started kind of doing these chats where we would chat with each other. Not this specific chat, just in general. Because I know we talked a lot before we actually appeared on camera together. So that was the earliest one on my channel that I could find. So I had to take stills of our fresh young faces. But yeah, that's 9 years ago. I think that was 2015, August 7th, 2015. So next year will be our 10th year of chatting on YouTube, which is mental to me, but because it's gone by like super quick. That's why it's so mental that it feels like nothing, you know?
Yeah, when I saw the picture, I was like, what in the hell? But then I was reading. Now you said, oh, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, did we jump in time or something like that? So it
Yeah.
was funny. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
time
no, I
goes
figured
quick.
let's do something.
I can't believe we consistent. I mean, at the end of the day, like it makes us go back and do this. Like this
Yeah.
comic book stuff we talk about all the time. I actually enjoy. I honestly look forward when we don't do a chat. It's like something's missing, and I
Yeah.
was like, like making sure I have everything what I want to read, and I get excited about stuff, and I
Totally.
think YouTube in generally with of course if you sub to lots of comic book channels, it makes you that comic book thing tick furthermore and it makes it more exciting.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I'm really glad we're doing this, even though it's been
Yeah.
so like sparingly sometimes, but because we are doing that.
Yep.
Hello, Lord.
Hello, Lord Tatman. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, and like I've said from probably day one, I do this because it's fun. Like I
mm,
don't do it so I can get subscribers, so then I can start advertising, so then I can start making money on YouTube.
yeah.
I sure as hell don't make videos mainly thinking about the audience and what people want to see. Like we do this because it's fun, and that's why we've been doing it so long. We
Mm,
wouldn't be here chatting about comics if we didn't enjoy it. I would argue that
mm,
it's just fun, plain and simple. And I agree with you. There's times where we miss a few weeks where it does feel weird not
mm,
having a weekly chat talking about the books. That's why I still do the Sunday thing where I just feel that I like doing it. Not that I feel obligated to do it. I
mm.
genuinely enjoy doing it. So that's the key to longevity doing this YouTube game.
Oh yeah, you have to enjoy what you do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's I still get surprised to what I don't read, whatever you show to me, whatever
Hmm.
other people shows, like it's like, oh, there's so much there is.
So
Sometimes you
much.
feel like there's nothing. I mean, when you
Yeah.
get in your head, like, oh, there's just nothing, like, and then you go just if you just if you have a like room where you have all the crap around, it you kind of surprise yourself. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Maybe I should just scroll and look it up in there, and I just really like that. So it's always nice. I don't like organizing. A lot of things isn't organized as always, like stacks of stuff. I do like
Yeah.
to organize, but in my head, but when I have to do the action, it's like, ooh. And I was looking up and I was panicking, like, oh, have I read this issue? Like, for example, like Sam and Twitch. I
Yeah.
haven't read 3 issues of it.
Oh boy.
I was like, how does that happen? It's like, I clearly know how. It seems to be I'm aware when they come out, but sometimes I just like it disappears. Like you take a gap, like I say, we don't chat sometimes. I think that's when my head goes like, okay, I
Yeah.
just,
Right.
doing that, like I just not I'm reading purpose for us as chatting comics I do. Sometimes I let go, but then the minute I pick it up, I was like, why am I not reading it? Like
Hmm.
more consistently kind of thing. But then you realize you pick it up when you want to, or you need some pickup for your like lift your mood up or something like that. So that's why comic books is so in my head sometimes very versatile thing to you to have, because
Hmm.
sometimes you just pick it up for because it looks something nice, or like a cover impressed you, or the creative team, but sometimes this actually helps your mind. Just pick it up, oh, you read something, get you upset for no apparent reason, or
Yeah.
really
Right.
gets you excited about it. So
Yeah.
and that's why I do enjoy it. This
Yeah, and really stems to like the winding down for me. Like I love organizing. It's like I was talking about it with my buddy at work actually. It's like, the the comic book Bushido, the way of the samurai for comic book collectors. Like, I just really, when I start organizing my collection, I find that it really helps, like, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed and there's a
Mhm.
lot of things going on that I can't control. That's a big one where I can control this. So I'm going to focus on this because I have
Mhm.
control over this moment. This one goes here, this one goes over there, and it actually helps. And then I can start focusing on that. And then gradually that other shit kind of goes away, which is nice. Hello, sleepy reader.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah.
I actually find it now more difficult. The more comic books I have, I find it more difficult to find the way I like to be organized.
Hmm.
So I always go by title most of the time. So A, B, C, blah, 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 blah.
Hmm.
But then I get really
Is
bogged
that
down.
is that how you have your collection right now? Just alphabetical?
No.
Okay.
So this, for example, this is my main thing where the new stuff comes in and out. So wherever my pull list is in this top drawer, and that's where I
That's a
keep
good
them,
idea.
because then I know what I was reading this year. So rather than me
Hmm.
just like slotting them down, so when the run I stop reading for the pull, it supposedly can come out of that. And there's two sides of it, so I divide the drawer, like, if you have filing cabinets, divided in two, so it fits two sides. It fits shitloads. If you don't put backing boards in each comic book, you can fit a hell of a lot in
A
one of
hell
those
of a lot.
drawers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you like have two comics and you put them with one backing, just one backboard in there, and actually it saves from rolling the spine.
Yep. Yep.
Big time actually. And it's like I've never thought it would be, but never I have rolled spine on my comic
Yeah.
books
Me neither. Yeah.
because of that. And also the weight, don't forget. So if you find it quite amazing when you start doing that, how lighter your things are. Like if you put it in short box, for example, if I don't have any more filing cabinets, if I put it in short box, it's like night and day. So
Hmm.
you and that so yeah so and then that side is my precious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the same thing, because
Hmm.
I've been collecting them for hell of a lot. And like that's how it goes. So and then there is kind of like Image, let's say DC and Marvel.
Mm.
You would think.
Okay.
You would think. But then I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
maybe I want to do alphabetical now. And then I have another filing cabinet in here, which has that idea, and it's not really working sometimes.
Hmm.
So I would rather prefer, let's say, alphabetically, maybe have filing cabinet for Marvel, alphabetically have DCs. Then maybe it would be better. But I still have. I never feel like this is the way I want to do it.
Yeah. Right.
So how you do it? Yours beautiful, like lateral filing cabinets is extortionate price in UK, by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's the only reason. Like, just to be totally clear, the only reason I went this style is because one of them I got for $0.00 because it was from the office. When I was working at the office, we changed our system and they
Yeah.
were getting rid of filing cabinets. So I said, "Where are they going to go? And can I have one?" They said, "If you can get it out of here, it's all yours. It's one less that
Yeah,
we have to deal with." So I got one for free, and then
yeah.
the other one I found on Marketplace for dirt cheap. But again, that was just an absolute fluke because you're the same thing here. When I do find them, they're expensive to find. They're not cheap.
200, 250 pounds.
Yeah.
It's most of the time the money prices has been asked for that kind of. It's really rare. I mean, there's quite a few, like especially if you watch TV shows with especially Detective Copper, UK based TV shows, they always
Hmm.
have lateral filing cabinets.
Hmm. Hmm.
But anyway, I digress. But what I'm saying is, it's really expensive, especially lateral.
Yeah.
So these ones, they used to be quite cheap. These days they're getting pricey again. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe the filing
Mm.
systems are getting back to paper, but I would presume it wouldn't be. But like maybe they're not making as much as they used to make them. I don't
Right.
really know. I understand that, but
Or they're
yeah.
now in that realm of being considered vintage. So people are cashing in on vintage office furnitures. You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
There's one specific company, I don't know the name of it, but the filing cabinets are always made from oak, and they are stunning. They
yes.
are an absolute piece of furniture you would like to have a nice office,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's fetch you. I don't know how much money
A
you'll be
lot of
about.
money.
Yeah, because it's like proper wood, and they are like, I saw one of them. Yeah, So like the artists have those even thinner, the
Oh
classroom
yeah, for the
spine,
flat
but
files and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And they made it out of wood, and it looks like, wow, you just gallery stuff. Like you put gallery stuff in there. Like you can't really have that in the house. Like it's like
Right.
special, like properly made on purpose. Especially if
Yeah.
you notice, ever watching some artists, especially oil painters, they would have that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about. Maybe they keep them some sort of like, sketch ideas or anything. But if you have some
Right.
serious, like a painter, you would definitely, they will somehow get hold of that kind of stuff, or they've been given it, which is fantastic, to be honest. I would
Yeah.
love to have that kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, there was a time like when I was looking at these, like,
yeah,
because I had wooden ones a long time ago and they were great,
yes,
but they kept bowing. And then I was
yeah,
finding guys like Cougar Comics on YouTube who
they're
had built
making
his
stuff.
own. And then I started going down that rabbit hole. And there's some gorgeous stuff out there that people build. But it was the same thing because I was considering maybe trying to build some myself. Because
Oh,
again, it was the sale to the wife of like, hey, this will be a beautiful piece of furniture as well as actually practical. But then it was coming down here anyway. So I'm like, and this came up and I'm like, I'm just going to go this route. And these ones, they fit four rows of comics in each of the drawers. And same thing, like I do the exact same thing. I've got, like, for example, the Jam right here. What I do
yeah,
with some of these issues is I put
yes, I
5
do.
issues in one
Yes,
bag. And
yes, I do the
I
same.
do 3 facing one way and then the other 2 facing the
Yeah,
other way. And then I
I
can fit so much more in the
I
drawers.
I change. So
Yeah.
one face up, one face down, one face up, one face. This is protects your spine beautifully.
Hmm.
Honestly, lots of people are saying, "Oh yeah, backboards and stuff." It still rolls your spine. I don't know, because of sheer weight of standing, the way we
Right.
file the comic books. But I've never. I mean, now I can say clearly, decades now, a decade, been
Hmm.
collecting comic books, and
Hmm.
all my comic books, which I put them in that way, don't have rolled spine whatsoever. And it's
The
just
only ones
amazing,
that
to
I
be
do
honest.
single bags with a
It's
board is
still
the older
great.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the ones that are like
Much
worth some money.
thicker and worth money, much thicker. They are like, they have much more content, and the paper is a bit more brittle. So if you
Yep.
don't have those mylights, and you don't have that paper, which whatever what it's called, I
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't go to that length, but those are the only ones I do single with a backing board, like all my Daredevil run and my
oh
Doctor
yeah,
Strange stuff.
this new
The
stuff like
underground
you
comics
read,
are in
yeah,
singles
yeah,
as
yeah.
well
You,
too.
it's
So,
not, they don't need to be pressurized like that.
mhm.
I mean, if it's your first appearance, and just lot it out from there and start putting in my life. That's what usually
Yeah.
people do, you know.
And then to answer your question on
Yeah,
organizing, I do by company as well too. So like
yeah,
top left is Marvel, that takes up the top 2 drawers. Then I've got one drawer that's all just underground comics.
yeah.
It's also got like the small amount of original art that I own is also laid on top of those there. And then the bottom is Image and kind of independent and mini comics are stacked in there. These two are like DC and Vertigo, and then it
Uh-huh.
starts getting into the indie publishers, and then I have the indie publishers alphabetized by publisher, and then within that I've got each of the comics. So all the Caliber Press books
Mm.
are now alphabetized within the Caliber Press section. You know what I mean? So I like to do it that way. And I've got some overspill that's into boxes here. I would love to get rid of all the boxes, but there's no more room in these filing cabinets. So I need to come up with something else because I would love to get rid of these boxes here. But yeah, so roughly by company, I've got a few spots where it's just the artist. Like I really got into Rick McCollum. So I've got a Rick McCollum section, a Pete
Mm.
Bag section. I've got a Matt Howarth section now, just so I can kind of keep all of their stuff because they work for so many different publishers, some of those guys.
Yes.
That way I can
Mm.
have all of their stuff in one spot if I ever want to flip through it. Guy Davis, I've got his stuff in one spot as well too. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
difficult. Honestly, it becomes a little bit like a task in your head. How do you want it? Because it's what you like. To be honest, that's what kind of filing system you're supposed to have. So
Mhm.
so whatever you prefer, like like Mobius, like Mike Mignola. I know I have Dark Horse box, but somehow Mike Mignola has the best side of it of Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Like say draw,
Mhm.
because I kind of collect them quite a lot, because I absolutely love his style of work.
Mhm.
His art style is just like you gave me one of the books where his cover is there, and it's honestly, it's like such a nice fresh thing
Mm-hmm.
to look at. It's just you recognize it straight away. It's like you can't really make the same thing because it's just you can't draw the way he does. At the end of the
Yeah,
day,
right. Yeah, very
that
distinct.
uniqueness of itself, which it really appeals to me. So
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
you're right. Like, however you organize this, what works best for you. Like in my mind, that's how
mm,
my mind works. So when I
yeah.
go and looking for something, I know where to go. That said, though, I have a similar problem when new stuff comes in. It's in transition spots. Like there's piles to be read. There's
Yeah.
piles that I have read. I've got a box where last year I was putting what I was reading last year in that box. I don't
Mm,
have a box or room to put a box of stuff I've been reading this year. So
mm.
it's now there's a bit of disorganization, but that's mostly on this side of the room here. So now I'm at a spot where I know that that's here maybe, but then it's there. And and I hate that. Like I hate digging, looking for something. I want to go to the drawer, open the drawer, pull that
Yeah.
issue out and sit and read
It's
it.
funny. So whatever is in the drawer is neat.
Yeah.
Everything's neatly organized. The minute I take shit out of it, and then if I don't file it back, mess straight away. And new
Yeah.
comic books definitely creates more mess for me. It's like I like it. I usually do organize it. I already have a section for it, and clearly it's in my face, literally
Hmm.
to look at. But sometimes I just like you get distracted. Oh my god, my mind gets so distracted lately. Maybe it's just the age. No
Yeah,
wonder
yeah.
we say 9 years later.
Yeah, right.
We're still doing this. But no, I'm joking. But you know what I mean. It's like life in generally. I think there's lots of things to fall upon.
Yeah.
But before we talk comic books,
Yeah.
Wild Robot, highly, highly recommend to watch. You have
What's
a
it called?
child,
Sorry.
The Wild Robot. It's an
Oh, yeah.
animated movie.
I know about it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe Lillian is a bit too old for that.
No, no,
Maybe.
we watched the trailer. It looked great. We all were
Dude,
interested in it. So yeah.
dude, watch it. I watched
Yeah.
it. I was in awe.
Yeah.
I was like, but I wasn't really like amazed by the artwork. Lately, animated movies have their computer things going on quite clearly and it's visibly. But when you warm up to that, and then because the way they used cinematography and the shots they used, and of
Mhm.
course the colors they have used, and the mood setting they were creating, it works beautifully.
Yeah.
The story is set really nicely, kind of like probably told story, like the cry thing, you save something, it's really nothing brand new, it won't shock you. Maybe some points will be interesting for you, but it's very much of setting in a future, but then there's always a survival of like there's always animals around you, no matter like there is some sort of way of surviving, even though there's some sort of things as humans make worse for ourselves. But then you have this robot involved, and it's
Right.
beautifully told storyline. Honestly, I
Mhm.
was like, I can't believe this is actually really stunning. And I was like moments where like how they want to pull your strings up in like your
Yeah,
your
yeah.
heart is gonna be like palpitating like to a point, and then if you have feelings, you will probably have like moments of like,
I
no,
gotta have
I'm
no
not gonna
feelings
cry this
at
time.
all.
I can do it. I
Yeah,
was like, I
right.
can
Yeah.
do it. I'll persevere. But no, honestly, even my son who doesn't have like sometimes doesn't have attention because if it doesn't grab the story for him, we were all watching and he was excited and he was like very loud and he was like wanted to do, oh my god, it's just too many good things happening there. So
Yeah, yeah.
and the explanation of and there's a moments actually of death which were like really surprising moments they picked.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh, they're not pulling punches. It's like they're not really like if you're safeguarding too much of your children from death in generally, I think we tend to do that. I think we done it with Rockers as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but there's the moment my husband looked at each other, I was like, did they just do that? They just like clearly did it, like clearly, like no like holds bar, like did. But the way
Yeah,
they
crazy.
actually went forward with it, it was
Mhm.
spectacular. So yeah, absolutely, highly recommend it. If you like
Yeah, cool.
animated movies whatsoever, like just watch it.
Was this renting at home or did you go to the theater?
Oh no, home.
Hmm.
It was very quickly available, which is kind of
Yeah.
surprising. It's still in cinema, but it's available. I guess they want all attention going on. I don't know. So it was
Yeah.
really easy to get hold of that. And
Yeah.
then we
Cool.
were, as I say, we were like, wow, really cool. I was
Hmm.
waiting for it. Actually, it was a wait. To be honest, I've seen like socials. I guess that's how we pull the attention lately. So on
Yeah.
socials, I saw this as a clip, and I always like to see the like robotic part of it and how they play with this kind of humanity stuff and blah blah blah. And if
Hmm.
they pull it off well, I'm interested, and I liked it. I really didn't dislike. I mean, the way they were humanizing. Anyway, I'm gonna spoil it if I'm gonna just start talking
Yeah, no,
about
it
it.
looks, yeah, the trailer looked pretty good. Lillian, I think there was a poster for it or something when we went to see Beetlejuice. There was a poster for it, and she was saying she wanted to try to see it in the theater, but it's not always easy to get to the theaters these days, just with our schedules more than anything.
Yeah,
Just getting everybody available at the same time to go see it.
I mean, it's really beautifully. I mean, a color palette they chose spectacular. I mean, I
Hmm.
absolutely enjoyed it. Didn't feel like it was too dark or too bright, or it just
Hmm.
really was. And actors they picked voice actors are spectacular. There's lots of them I know because they quite a few of them UK based. But there's lots of like Black Panther's girlfriend's actress voice, so she's the main
Yeah.
voice, and it's not. I couldn't even pick it up. I was like, wow, that's really weird because she basically interpreted like robotic voice to would talk about. So it's not really kind of recognizing at first, but when you kind of start realizing, there's lots of great moments in there, and they, as I say, they use really. It seems to be well thought out movie, and
Hmm.
it's really well told. It's like
Yeah, sweet.
there's punches pulled, there's very lots of comedy pulled, there's lots of educational pull, because of animals, what how they treat like possums, what they do in order like not to be that nobody would interested how ruthless can animals be to each other, even they in
Hmm.
the one little base. It's quite entertaining for sure. And the fox,
Cool.
Pedro Pascal is the fox, so he's the
Oh
main
yeah, yeah, yeah.
character. So
Hmm.
and he does like when you realize it's Pedro Pascal, you're like, oh my god, that guy knows how to do it, and he's really Sly Fox, honestly.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, damn
Cool.
you, folks. So yeah,
Yeah, right.
I'm gushing out over it because I probably want to watch it again, and I will do it
Yep.
very soon because I find it really exciting to watch an animated movie like that. So yeah,
Hmm. Cool.
and you watched anything?
We watched The Frighteners last night because it's Halloween, and so we watched that was a Michael J. Fox,
Oh,
Peter
okay.
Jackson directed
Oh
movie,
yeah, yeah.
Lord of the Rings guy. So it was a little more intense than I remember it being because I haven't seen
Oh,
it for a long time. It was pretty fun though. It was a bonkers movie. I mean, Peter Jackson is a bit of a bonkers director,
oh,
especially his earlier stuff. You know what I mean? But
more
I mean, I
experimental.
enjoyed it. Lillian enjoyed it. My
Mm.
son liked it, but it was a little more intense than I remember it being. There was a couple of times looking over at her just to make sure, like, are you still okay? Is this too much now? And she was okay. She was fine.
Oh,
But yeah, you never know with kids, right? You never know what's gonna.
hmm.
It reads a certain way to me as over the top and kind of campy at parts, but I don't know how that looks like to kids. So no,
Yeah. Oh, you have to make sure that they're okay with. I
yeah.
can't. I don't like. I don't do horror. Like I don't have themes to watch horror. I mean, the funny
Hmm.
horror. Like the Shop of Horrors. that
Yeah,
with
Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, yeah,
I forgot how musically they based that movie, and
yeah.
I'm not sure if I enjoyed it, to be honest. So I was
Oh,
starting
really? Hey,
to,
I
and the
haven't seen it
music
forever.
and the music part started, and I was like, "This is a musical," and they were using it hell of a lot. And I was like,
Yeah,
I wasn't prepared for that. Because
yeah.
the clips I remember, they didn't have music. So whatever memory has left of that movie in particular. Because I remember
Hmm.
I really liked the plant, and then I really liked the evil side of it. It's kind of like a petty teenager at times it was, like was growing up and he was doing like sort of thing like eating without like don't eat it, and like you kind of thing, and you
Yeah.
like just eats the shit out of it and spews out something. But I forgot
Mhm.
how musically inclined that movie was, and I was like, at some points, it seems to be I don't want music in my
Oh,
movies.
yeah,
I mean,
okay,
and
yeah.
like not saying that I like, okay, in saying like Sound of Music. a cliche thing. I'm a female. Sound of Music appeals to me. Okay, I grew up
Mhm.
with that. I grew up every Christmas. Somehow, Sound of Music was almost a festive part of the movie in my country when I
Mhm.
was growing up, and I was actually always looking forward to it. So that somehow, because the sound of the music, and I always romantic kind of parts of it, I really liked. And then after a while, you realize how long that movie is. No
Mhm.
wonder in my country they split it in half, kind of thing, like
Mhm.
the first and second part. So we had watched it in the 2 days part. So they actually watched one day, and then there comes another day you finish the movie. No wonder, because I actually want, like, I was trying to do the same thing while I was living in here, and my first experiences was like, why is it so long? I don't
Yeah, yeah,
remember. Like when you
yeah,
have like, and now honestly, I watched the first part and that's plenty enough, and I can skip the like a lot of it, whatever's in the middle, and the end is good for me. Like I just kind of
yeah.
want.
Right.
But honestly, the first her just being introduced, Julia Roberts introduced to kids, that's my favorite thing. When they are going outing and having a holidays, when she shows them, takes the curtains down and they start singing and they own the trees and the father passes by and he doesn't realize it's a skit. That's why my moments kind of thing. So which I really
Mm-hmm.
like. And then
Hmm.
afterwards it becomes a little bit tedious, the war starts.
Right.
And like because you kind of aging with your open more mind to external things, what is important sometimes in life. And you're like,
Hmm.
no, I don't want this. It's too much life, like give me something. I'm kind of naivety kind of part of it, which is
Yeah.
great.
Right.
Or romantic things.
Hmm.
What most of the things, most of the time doesn't happen. Anyway,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Pure
so
fantasy.
yeah,
Yeah. Right.
so in that sense, I could say I like musical movies, but not all of it. Like
Hmm.
Sound of Music and Grease are two movies. Probably I have full on attention. I like John Travolta and I forgot her name now. I just like the way it's set, and I like everything about it. So I don't
Yeah.
know. So somehow that Shop of Horrors didn't work for me. It's just like
Yeah. Right.
no,
Yeah.
too much music. Somehow it's too much music.
The musicals I like are Bollywood movies. Those are my favorite kind of musicals. I love the production on some of those. Like it's so great. And
There
then
was.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, of course, is a classic. I've seen that
Mm,
one a million times. I love
mm,
that one.
mm,
And then there's a Japanese director, Takashi Miike. He did this
mm.
movie, Happiness of the Katakuris, and it's a remake of I think a Korean movie, but it's a musical as well too. And
Mm,
it's so great. It's so again because it's him as a director,
yeah.
and if you know his movies, this one is kind of like a what the hell is this? And then the songs are actually really great and entertaining. It's pretty funny at parts.
Mm.
It's just a great movie. But yeah, musicals aren't my kind of go-to, but Bollywood musicals, like Bollywood movies, have always been. I had a soft spot for them for a longest time because the music is, especially the older ones, like the '70s and things.
Oh
The
yes.
music is just so goddamn good.
Oh,
Like it's
beautiful.
so good.
There was a time for about 5 years in my country. We cinema were obsessed with Bollywood.
Yeah.
So we were going out every single like year, at least like 5, 6, maybe even 7 movies come out of Bollywood
Hmm. Hmm.
related. We all went, like
Yeah.
almost religiously, like this out and stuff. We're going. And
Amazing.
honestly, I was watching it like we know everybody was doing all those tacky moves like they were doing,
Hmm.
like dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
But the music
Yeah.
wise, it was just like like almost like to a point of like a theater experience without having a theater
Yeah.
because of that how much involvement it is, the beautiful colors they were using. Of course, there's lots of romantic stuff and scary things, and they had those actors, which I still recall they were and then I see the pictures of the like what it was before, and they were like those actors at the beginning of the Bollywood. What is now, there's complete change, of course, because time
Yeah. Right.
passes. Who
Yeah.
figures that?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean. But I was growing up with that, and it was honestly religiously Bollywood movie outings when the
Awesome.
cinema was coming, and there was like for at least 5 years. I clearly remember my mom was like, okay, because maybe she wanted to just get out. She wanted to shush us down, two girls. Come on, let's go watch. And I watched Titanic in the movie, and I was crying my eyes out. Come on, don't
Hmm.
forget that.
Hmm.
Like you have so much space, lady. Just move. He can fit on that bloody
Yeah. Yeah.
door. Why can't you come up? Come up there.
Yeah.
So all that kind of crap we watched. Yeah, I actually remember watching in cinema
There's
and seeing
still
the two
there's still a
studios.
theater here in town that regularly plays Bollywood movies, and they have for I don't know they have for like decades. They don't get a
Oh,
ton of them in, but there's always it's Cinema City Northgate, and they
mhm,
always have Bollywood movies. It's mostly newer releases from what I
mhm.
remember because it's been a long time since I've been there to see one. But they always have them coming through, and it's one of our cheaper theaters in town, so you're not paying like full
Mm.
on new movie price. So even though they're newer movies that they're playing, they're still at like at least I believe they still are. There's that like a discounted rate, which is also makes it appealing to go see a movie, see something different. You're not paying $20 a ticket or whatever it is these days for a big blockbuster. So yeah.
In the cinemas in here is where I am. They're so desperate to have people to come
Mhm.
to cinema, and if you buy it online the ticket rather than going to cinema to buy a ticket, it's
Mhm.
£5,
Oh yeah,
and that's like when is the big thing going out £5.
yeah, that's
So
pretty good.
that's cheap to be honest.
Yeah, that is, yeah,
I mean, if you say 20 Canadians, that's quite a
ish,
lot.
yeah, somewhere around there, yeah,
I mean, it depends. It probably depends on cinema. I mean, I'm talking
yeah,
about the mainstream, not specialized cinema. You know, like those cinema,
yeah,
like we have service for you. So of course you're gonna have to pay a
yeah.
price. There's those ones that do exist in some areas, but we don't go that one. It's like we go
Hmm.
usually the main ones, the
Hmm.
mainstream. But yeah, sometimes honestly, you have to go to cinema, but just because you want to see it in the big screen. But it's not
Totally.
always. It's very you become very picky because of like like it's become kind of thing so available in a house that you tend
Yeah, it's
to.
available everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of
Which is why
difficult.
you want to go and see a spectacle, which is why I went to
Yeah,
see Godzilla -1 a couple of times in the big theater because I wanted to see it on the
lucky.
giant
Honestly,
ass screen as opposed to the TV,
after
right? So,
seeing that movie, I definitely would have wanted to be in the big screen because there's some
when I
moments.
saw it on IMAX, it was the best, man. Because I saw it once on a smaller screen. Well, smaller as in like just a regular. But then when it
Yeah.
came out IMAX, I had to go to see it at
Mm,
IMAX, and
mm,
it was fantastic. It was almost I had to sit further back because the screen is so goddamn big. But it was
mm.
almost kind of holy shit. It's almost too much screen. It was really really cool though, because then you also get the bonus of like the sound, right? Like they've got a good
Yes.
system to boost that sound through, right? So
Mm.
we've got a good stereo at home too. Nothing wrong with it, but like nothing beats the cinema experience for like big
No,
screen, big
it's
sound.
especially those IMAXs. They create that like
Yeah,
dome kind of feel to the sound,
yeah,
like
right.
makes you feel like you engulfed in it rather than you just
Hmm.
having from size from a typical cinema. At least that's
Hmm.
what I experienced in IMAX is in here. So,
Yeah.
but I haven't been in one. But honestly, I can tell you one thing. I found it quite tiresome because the big screen, your head can't absorb that much space
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
because there's some moment. Okay, if your action goes accordingly to whatever place you go, that's fantastic in that moment in that section. But
Hmm.
honestly, I was just once time I was just trying to go backwards as much as possibly could, and honestly, you cannot
Yeah.
see all the things because it's just so sheer big and tall
Yeah.
as well, which is quite it's sometimes you can find it like it's quite a lot to keep up, like you're actually kind of doing work without you thinking, oh, I'm just relaxing, watching.
Hmm.
But sometimes, I'm not saying it's always how it happens. So
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
yeah.
We talk
Comics,
comics.
yeah, go on.
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you got to start us off with?
Okay, cool. Shall I start now? Okay, I'll start with something you gave me, which was
Hey.
absolutely I managed to do this,
Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah.
and now I want more.
Yeah.
I've been looking around actually to see on eBay there is available, but they're quite crazy priced. Honestly, this is like one of the ones I've seen on eBay, but they were like £8 a pop. It's quite a lot.
Really? Hey.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
and now what is the Dark Horse Maverick? Is that
So
the
it was different. I think different creators for a
yeah?
short time they had their own Maverick line, like where it was kind of stuff that
Oh,
was. I think there was a Sergio Aragones one. I think there was a
yes,
Mike Allred one.
yeah.
So I now I don't know if everything that was published under that specific Maverick imprint was all from that artist. I assume that it was, if it had their version of the Dark Horse symbol on it, it was like their comic. So it was like a specialty thing. I think it might have lasted a year. I don't know if Damien is still in the chat. He might know more about it, or somebody in the chat
More
might know
than
more
enough
about
to
it.
talking about movies, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he's playing with actually those characters, which is fantastic. So this is Tony Millionaire, yes? That's him on the picture, I presume.
I'm assuming so. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a picture of him, so I'm assuming that's him, though. Yeah.
Anyway, so it's really cool. The art wise is absolutely spectacular. By the way, it just amazes me. So some people's ability to just do black and white and the most details they can. This is like so much like you can be a picture. Honestly, it's so well done. The proportion seems to be right, and maybe some sort of areas. I really like the clouds. I mean, thankfully they didn't over render it. Imagine if that would be darker, that would just make the mess out of this picture, but now it just looks really good. So and it's a I don't know, the story of the bat coming into the dollhouse, and then there's this creatures, a sock monkey, and a I forgot the name. What is it? The crow. I forgot the crow's name, but anyway, it's just like scenario where it goes and as I say, the bat comes into the dollhouse and they're having conversation. I was like, what am I reading? Of course, some weird stuff like what Terrence likes to read, and then. I was just going with the flow, and the more I was reading into it, how they were trying to explain each other, and then the mice explaining situation where how she actually lost her beloved partner, as they say, and how involved it is, and what happened to it, how unlucky it was, and how Toy Train has passed the tail and actually severed it down to nothingness almost. It's just such a nice storytelling, and every panel it seems to be just working more and more for me, and the more the sock monkey character just kind of grew into his own kind of character as well, without me knowing and understanding what's happening really. And I was just going with the flow, and I honestly enjoyed the art immensely. I liked the consequences of how the dolls were so appalled by their actions, and you should be severely punished kind of thing going on, and not realizing maybe it could be a dream or just the imagination of the creator. It just feels kind of like intense, great intent in the storytelling, and honestly, all the scenes are just really beautifully done. And the way they were trying to help the mice finding a new partner, end up with that bat who actually entered the dollhouse. It was a rodent eating bat because they were thinking it's a mice kind of with the wings. So surely you will be appreciative of us having to get you to it. And she is gone into demise because they didn't realize who the bat was and what they like to eat. And of course, there's extra stories here, which was quite entertaining because it's kind of like almost a poem. And that's what the page I was talking about Mac Mignola.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes.
And him drawing it. And it says at the bottom, the greatest monkey comic in the world. And of course,
I think wasn't the crow's name Drinky Crow or something like that, or
I don't know. It's never like, honestly, I think she always talks about to the monkey. What you on about? Are you kind of like going crazy? And then also, there's lots of advertisement what it was releasing, and of course, Usagi Yojimbo, Grass Cutter in August 1999.
crazy.
And it's just crazy amount of all stuff, and then also the one Too Much Coffee Man guide for the perplexed. And then the next one, there was quite a few of them, eh?
I mean, it's a pretty popular character. I don't see them around very often, but it's one of those characters that I think people just absolutely gravitate towards, and it's one of their big loves. His art style is impressive. Like, it's really cool. He did a piece in that Bizarro comic I was reading as well too.
Exactly.
That was beautifully
Yeah,
drawn. Yeah.
you mentioned it, but honestly, all this inking lines and
Hmm.
this, it seems to be this one like you could be newspaper, like Sunday's
Hmm.
newspaper strip kind of thing, because the way it's like, I mean, it's probably sized just to fit for this issue to have like something extra to say, but the art is just like spot on. All the lines he's using, it's like to point, and he's like really proficient when it comes to using a the shadowing and all that stuff. It's just like looks so well, like he's been doing. I mean, I don't know really much about Tony. You were introducing me to this creators,
Hmm.
which is from those 90s, which I would never have yet to discover until you would mention, or you would be kindly giving it to me. But honestly, as I say, I was doing some of the like looking at to see what they have, and there's so
Yeah.
many volumes. This is the volume 2, number 1,
Yeah.
and there's the collected stuff as well. But it's
Hmm.
not like really. That's the thing. I was looking at the places where usually they have those kind of like obscure comic books, as I say, not your conventional DC Marvels. Places were online to check, and prices, as I say, this one was going for £8,
Yeah, it's crazy to me because
which
I think
is.
that was a dollar bin fine for me. You know what I mean? Like it
But
pops up if you're patient, I guess,
honestly,
some of
I
this
don't
stuff.
even recall ever seeing this kind of like even that's why I even ask you about this Maverick stuff, because I honestly have
Hmm.
not recalled even seeing it myself when I was doing the
Hmm. Hmm.
hunting and
Yeah,
stuff
like I
like
said,
that.
I'm pretty sure it was pretty short lived.
So
I don't think it went on for very
so
long.
if you find for one for cheap stuff, grab, because
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
have
I'll keep my eyes open.
you grab my attention towards that, and I
Yeah, sweet.
honestly like I'm so impressed with all the work of art and the way it's using the panels, and all the stuff is just so beautifully rendered. Like really, of course, very clean, nothing over exaggerated and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
his panels works is it just works. Sometimes obscure conversations because the way he's using the sentences is kind of not easy to understand at first, but when you
Hmm.
get into it, it's definitely. It caught my attention, and I was like having a laugh as well at the same time, because the way they were trying to help the mice, and then in basically ended her life just because they was thinking that this bat is like a mouse on with the
Yeah,
wings
yeah, yeah.
without them realizing. So yeah, so it
Flying
has those.
rodent.
Yeah, it's like a sad but in the same funny moments, when you don't
Hmm.
realize what you're doing and who you are next
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
So yeah, so it was really
Cool. Well,
nice.
so that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll start off with this one. So we were talking before we went live. We were talking about a bunch of stuff, and
Mm.
one of the things that we were talking about might fit in with what I read here. I just finished it this morning, or this afternoon, or whatever time of day it was. But I just finished it today at some point. So this is one of the newer Brandon Graham books. This is called "Surviving on Mars." And if you're familiar with the YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel Living the Line, this is one of their publications. I've got
Wow, they
2
have a
books by them
publication
actually
out.
that I read this week. So, but this is just a trade paperback. So it's a comics journal
Mm-hmm.
of his time in Las Vegas, and he talks about a lot of stuff, and he talks a lot about like his challenges, like as we all in this YouTube little corner of YouTube, we all know about some of the accusations that were made about Brandon Graham, and he tried to get canceled and things. They tried to cancel him, and it didn't kind of take. We're not here to talk about the opinions. I've got my own opinion on it. Seemed like a bunch of bullshit if you ask me, but it's not me that's a part of it. So he talks a lot about, the reason I bring it up is because he talks a lot about dealing with that, and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with friendships that he lost during that time, and dealing with people who he was pretty close with, who didn't never said anything to him to his face, but started talking shit about him online very publicly, and how that he's still kind of dealing with that at this point. So it's a journal. It's filled with sketches. There's a bunch of ideas. He's got a 1-pager where he talks about, he wrote this, he started writing this kind of fan sequel to The Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about his partner, who is a trans woman, and kind of has a page dedicated to her, actually. Casey Jones is her name. She's got a YouTube channel. She's appeared with him on YouTube as well. So he kind of does this portrait of her and talks about how she sees herself and things, and kind of presents in this very amazing way just parts of his life. And because it's this journal, you get this sense of like, there's sometimes where it's a little uncomfortable reading it, because you do feel like You're reading his thoughts. Obviously, this isn't his entire journal. This is stuff he's decided to publish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I found it a fascinating read. There was a couple of times where I definitely felt a little like, oh my God, this guy's just whining, but it's a journal. That's kind of what you do if you journal. I'm sure that you do a lot of stuff in there that you might not necessarily talk about. His art style is beautiful throughout this. It's printed on like newsprint, has a really nice texture to it. I love the layouts, even of his sketchbook, or even of his diary, rather. You still get that real sense of a Brandon Graham comic. But I love how he talks very openly about, Rasa and I were talking about these kind of internal battles that
Mhm.
people have with themselves and being their own worst critic and letting things, not having the ability sometimes to let things go, which is something that I deal with personally.
Mhm.
Like, what does it matter what so and so said at such and such a
Mhm.
time, or what this person thinks? What does it matter? But every once in a while, you get those that just stick in the back of your head, and it comes up at such fantastic times, like when you're trying to go to bed. And I
Mhm.
mean, as I think as you get older, you've built up a life of interactions with people and a life of drama and a life of, not everybody you meet in life is going to like you, or vice versa. That's just the reality. Um, but it's really interesting hearing him talk about trying to deal with those things and things he tries to do for himself to
Mhm.
kind of get past some of that, and especially coming from a place of dealing with things the way the things that he had to deal with, which obviously I'm not in that same boat. But he also has the strip in here. Oh, actually, I'll show this one. He had it on his social media as well,
Oh,
but he's got a strip dedicated to Ed Piskor,
oh wow.
and it's a powerful piece. I remember seeing it on social media, and it was really powerful then, and it was just as powerful reading it in the book again,
Oh.
because of what he's gone through and because of what Ed Piskor was going through. And Brandon Graham is basically saying, like, I had people around me. I sure hope that he had people around him. Regardless of what happened, of course, I'm not going to be able to find it now, but it's a really, if you go to Brandon Graham's social media, yeah, here it is.
Mm.
He has it there as well, but just really just touching stuff, right?
Mhm.
So this is the piece here, just the one page, because I guess he had texted with him, and one of the things that Piskor said to him, how long did it take you to get back into the swing? Because one of the things that Ed himself had said was that as human beings, we're not equipped to deal with the praise or the attacks from thousands of people, especially as you get more and more popular. That impact of having, it's not just now one person who's talking shit about you. It's now, in Ed Piskor's case, hundreds of people, thousands, whatever the number was, dramatically more. And I can't imagine having that kind of backlash as a wave from
Mhm.
so many people. And especially when there's going to be a chunk of those people that don't know the details. They're hearing about it from someone who's heard about it,
Yeah.
etc. Right? And the
Mhm.
kind of position that that can get you in. So it's a really moving piece. And overall, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really great. I knew that it was coming out. I wasn't aware that it was out already, but I was
Mhm.
watching the Living the Line channel the other day because they just passed, they got 5,000 subscribers now.
Oh wow.
And I started watching some of their videos that I haven't kept up with.
Mhm.
And there was Brandon Graham, and they were talking about this book. So it was a good reminder to kind of get out there and pick up a copy. There was one copy left at one of the bookstores here in town, so I made my way there to make sure that I got it right quick. So if you like Brandon Graham, if you know his kind of diary style comics, I think this is a really great read. He talks about also dealing with some of his personality and some of his personal things in his sci-fi comics. And for me, a lot of that science fiction, I love science fiction for when it does bridge that gap of talking about real world issues, whether it's political or whether it's personal. Like there's the kind of Mobius and Jodorowsky, like that internal,
Mhm.
it's that internal journey that kind of makes its way into science fiction. I love that kind of stuff, and he deals with that pretty well in here. Talks about his time writing porn parodies and working in the porn industry. So he's very upfront about kind of the way his life is going. So I think it's a fascinating read. I'll probably end up dipping through it again just to kind of reread some stuff. So yeah, it was a good one.
Cool. I didn't
Yeah.
even know it existed. because I remember there was a time when that something, because he was a very popular. There's lots of things coming out with Brian,
Hmm.
and I think he was going into the point, and then suddenly, poof, gone.
Yeah.
Just absolutely like stopped, and there's nothing going on there anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
it's
and
kind of
that's
rough.
and I think that's the thing, because it's not getting talked about. He's still doing lots of comics. He's got another book out now that's volume
Mm.
2 of I can't remember the name of it right now, Moon something.
Yeah.
But so he still does work, but you're totally right. Like, he had that Island anthology, he did
Hmm.
multiple Warheads, he
Yes.
was doing the Rain Like Hammers, and then all of a sudden everything just came crashing down when these
Yeah.
accusations came out, and he was kind of persona non grata, and nobody was dealing with him. And he hooked up with the Living the Line guys for a while now. He's been doing these kind of Formalism Fridays videos. He was one
Oh.
of the guys talking online about Matt Howarth. He's a big Matt Howarth fan as well too, which he talks about in this book a little bit too. And he seeing some of those Formalism Friday videos where he's talking and showing Howarth comics. That was
Mm.
also at that time where I was kind of getting into Howarth some more too. So it was cool to see someone else showing books that at that time I didn't know about, and talking about how he's creating a page and look at what he's doing here. Like, it was super cool to see. Seems like a really nice guy, knows his shit. Yeah, so a good read, a good read.
Okay, so next for me
Hmm.
is those Forgotten Sam Twitch books. I
Mm.
was so when like my comic book guy decides to send me an issue number 6, and I was like, where's number 5? Because I clearly have done, because I kind of recall the covers, like when you start to have something on your polos, kind of recall what you have somehow in your mind. So I didn't have that. So when I received it just recently, this week I think, I basically managed. So I had to read number 5, number 6, and number 7, which came out this week I think. So it's like crazy, like 3 comics in the space of nothing. And I was like, when I was, and the way this one started, I was like, excuse me, I don't remember. Like when you have like a quite decent gap between what you were reading and the issue. So I went into finally actually knowing where I'm stacking them in. Shelve those previous issues. I went in to look, and then it just kind of made more sense, even though it's really confusing the way it starts. So this is a report from the sheriff saying that there was a gunfight. It all was done. We were tried our best. We were going into racketeering with the drugs cartel because it's a little town. You can't deal with the kind of situations. We have to kind of protect our society. Blah blah blah. We are God-fearing society. Blah 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 and stuff like that. So we tried to explain themselves why they shot 3 guys, and that they are doing everything correctly, and it's actually unraveling the story finally, where we actually not seeing who it is, but kind of suspecting who it is. But the killer, we see the killer's face, the guy who's dismembering lots of human beings, put them in sort of places without being the same parts. And he is the one who's really upset what he have seen on the TV, because he knows that they're lying. And basically the story kind of, like, through this issue 5 has information, so much information that we haven't had from previous 4 issues, that is basically you understanding in the way what's going on, why they doing these killings, who kind of involves. There's a lot of I'm kind of not understanding a couple of parts of it, but that's part of, like, maybe it's just I need more reading of a comic book to understand what it is all about. But it's intriguing enough for me continuously, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't mind anymore this non-speech bubbles, but it's just like those kind of the way they're writing each paragraph and all that stuff. I kind of understood that as always there's some dirty coppers going around, and Twitch, who's basically escaping from his own bullshit kind of things, what's happening with him and Sam. He ended up going into another den where he basically has been used for some certain things in a way. This is how the coppers on this was it Pleasantville? Is it the place where things happening? But anyway, so it's lots of things happening, lots of actions. Another dead body unearthed, and coppers. A bit of a spoiler, but coppers are killing innocents in a way, or people who they don't want it to be exposed to. because this drama with like politicians involved or the people who's in charge, basically they quite dirty. They're not really doing the job the way it's supposed to be according to the rules. So all that stuff is basically, and why this murder is involved with that, I'm not really yet kind of fully grasped the idea. I don't think they want us to do. But in issue 6 we have more of Sam's kind of like doubt in what he's doing. He's basically trying to better himself. He kind of tries to go on a diet because his partner Twitch was basically ran away from him because he can't deal with him anymore, because he was like, apparently he wasn't doing the job together. They weren't doing the job together anymore. Kind of like, like dynamics between partners wasn't working. So that's why he kind of escaped to this new small town to help, according to to what information he got hold of. And then he kept kind of starts understanding what's happening and who these coppers are and how they deal with, and they basically trying to have upper hand with of him, like basically use his gun to murder somebody. Then he realizes his gun is missing. He confronts them. I kind of thought, like, why are you confronting somebody with 3 guys right there next to you? Are you not afraid to be like shot dead, really? Because it seems to be they don't have a problem to cross the line whatsoever. But maybe because he's not really thinking clearly due to what family issues he's having, and how they're trying to pressurize him. They made a picture, like they randomly picture him with some female who's actually dead, and sending the picture to his wife, who wife already have a problem with him in generally, because he's a copper. He's not really at home anytime soon. He's kind of escaping that life. The wife was in early, she's telling to him, like, you need to stop, you have to give us more attention, we can't deal with it anymore, I can't deal with it anymore. But then he's going to this little town to solve the murders, and it's actually, honestly, it's opened up the comic book to a point where you kind of start caring. You're starting to be like detective in also trying to suss the things out. I'm not really a fan, of covers, because they don't tell a story.
Yeah.
A lot of comic books does that. I'm only can say one thing. They are beautiful covers. They're really nice. They choose kind of somebody's like a really using the computerized style, or somebody's actually using the your natural ink and paper, like that kind of things. Really well done. And the paper for $2.99, the paper is astonishingly good quality. I don't know, McFarlane probably has so much money with all this toy stuff he's doing that he doesn't, he's lets them to print, and it's such a beautiful piece of paper. Like a cardstock paper. Honestly, it's not, like DC and Marvel don't splash on that kind of stuff. This is like proper cardstock,
Yeah.
Anyway, for $2.99, and also the price tag, that's what really keeps me this comic book coming. I wasn't like sold at the beginning, but I like the mystery, because like you have the serial murderer who basically nobody knows what he's doing and how to catch him. I need some drink, seems to me. But it's really good. Now, honestly, by showing that stuff, what's happening, even punching the dude, like I'm telling you, he's confronting the guys, and the dude who gets punched, he's in charge. He's the one who asked Twitch to come through, and I was like, are you asking yourself to be murdered? Because it feels like you are.
Yeah.
Like, he's so appalled by the non-copper like behavior that he just doesn't understand how can you do this. He seems to be by the rule all the time, like seems to be like a proper guy, upstanding police officer. Anyway, so yeah, there's lots of things happening, a lot of unravels, not fully unravels, of course, because the story continues, but I'm intrigued. Honestly, it's kind of like detective. I think it really would read quite intriguingly well in a trade. I think that would be, but for the $2.99 price tag, it's really, honestly,
it can't be beat.
No, you can't. Honestly, it can continue stay in my pull list as long as it's, of course, it has to be intriguing enough for me to continue, and I'm intrigued still.
Yeah.
All this information provided for me, it's like and like detective series about to end the like season before like things gonna like, oh my god, why, how dare you, kind of feels that way. But of course it's a comic book, so hopefully they will not stop in the way like
Mhm.
this TV series does. I'm intrigued. I
And
still
sorry,
want
that's issue what? It's up to issue 5 or 6 now.
7.
7. Oh, okay, 7. Yeah.
So this is this is which came out this week, I think. It has to be this week, yeah. Because I asked the
Mhm.
way I got delivered. Because I couldn't wait for another comic book to read, which I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
And also there's another one, which I hope you picked it up. Did you pick it up? The Precious Metal?
I sure did.
Oh, thank God.
We
Okay,
we
good.
can talk about it right now if you want.
Oh, yeah, go. Oh, sorry, my bags are everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this
Go
one
on, go
felt
on.
more psychedelic. There was something about the level that the art, the height that the art is at now. And I found one of the things that was big for me in this issue,
Yeah.
it felt like the movement through the story, like there was stuff like this that was happening. It feels like we haven't seen to this degree. It really feels like, as much as the story is accelerating as well, because for sure it's reaching ahead, I also
Mm.
feel like the art is getting even more kind of like, this is like a
Yeah.
fucking classic painting, like
Yes.
from the fucking Renaissance or something. This
Yeah.
religious kind of, it's hit a level that I can't believe he was at this level to begin with
Yeah.
throughout the story and was still able to take it up a notch. Because,
Yeah.
like, this art really transformed me into the story. Like, it really took me into the story. And at times, it really felt like a
Mm.
psychedelic experience
Mm.
without being that kind of stereotypical, hey, we're going to really do some crazy things with panels and we're going to do like Doctor Strange type backgrounds. Even stuff like this, like these 2 pages with that
Mm.
yellowish green color that's prevalent when he goes in to kind of
Mm.
question this bartender and stuff, and they drag him out of there and things. Like, it's just a stunner. And
So this
again,
is
with those panels, blows me away. Yeah, go ahead.
so this is the past, yeah. Don't
Yeah.
you? So I watched the Travis's video just before we actually chat,
Okay. Yep.
and he was talking about this, and then he kind of gave you a bit of hints that saying this is more now understanding that it is belongs in the little bird's world, because
Hmm.
this general, the guy
Yep.
who's basically set out to do all this stuff, this is introduction to him when he was younger, so that means
Yes.
he's probably when the actions. So because I don't recall, honestly, I keep on trying to kind of like, when I was reading this, I can't recall Little Bird, to be honest, because I'm so in
Mhm.
awe of the art. I think it's so distracting because you go like, oh my god, this panel is so beautiful, and you also, not saying that it distracts from the story from this point,
Yeah.
because you already have like really familiarized what's happening previously to that. But honestly, it's like you say, I like, how can you, how like this scene, even though he's
Mhm.
so over like sketched, that you would say, because he's losing the shadows and all that stuff, but that color of his hand so works well together in the panel. It's just like, yeah, like we are both gushing over his work of
Like, I
getting,
mean, these guys, if they don't get some sort of accolades
yeah,
from the industry, whatever bullshit award that turns into, if they don't get some sort of accolades,
yeah.
it'll just show that the whole system is even more full of shit than I thought. Because there's nobody, there's no artistic team that's doing a book like this that I've seen in a long
Mm,
time. Like, it is just an absolute stunner, and I love all of this, like when
yeah,
the
this,
guy goes in and kind of gets
yeah,
the little, I don't know, eyeballs or whatever they are, these seeds almost
yeah.
to kind of help heal. It's unbelievable, and this
He
is the
was,
stuff that really felt kind of psychedelic to me
uh,
in this very kind of weird, and almost like it's one of those textures on the page that you can feel, like I can feel in my mouth, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's this kind of texture that makes me uncomfortable.
Mm.
um it's just, there's
You
nothing else. I don't think I've ever read anything like this book or seen anything like this art. Ian Bertram and Matt Hollingsworth just deserve all of the praise that they can possibly get, and
mm,
they should be just, money should just be thrown at these guys hand over fist, to be create whatever the hell you want to do. You know, they should get kind of like a Brubaker and Phillips deal with Image. You guys do whatever. Here's free reign to put out whatever you want in whatever format you want, as much or as little as you want. Please just keep working together, because they are stunners, man. Absolute stunners. Like, look at this shit. You get this page layout, and then you go to the next page, and what do you have? It's like mirroring. Like, who the fuck? I just can't believe it. It's beautiful, and the colors are gorgeous. I'm so in love with this long panel layout. I think it works so well in this story. It's the best book I've read in a long time. Like really up there as far as like, this is the #1 book of the year for me for sure, based on the art mainly.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm trying to always. My favorite panel is this, because of the the emotion you have on his face and his hands.
Yeah,
like the way he's just looking at this, like so desperate for something. Like, do I understand what's going on? Am I sacrificing so much? Like, this daughter's situation is still ongoing, and it's really tormenting him more and more now. The further it goes for this child, because when he was looking for the child at first in the first issue, we kind of like, he was just doing a job.
It was a job. Yeah, exactly.
And then the minute the child touched, or kind of had that moment between two of them, everything just unraveled for him. And the further he was going for it, and lots of things didn't work, started questioning himself more. He started remembering his family in the past. And then also another element, which I was always thought, okay, we have a bad guy. So she's the bad guy, okay? She's the one who basically employed him to go employed him to go for it, because this is that religion sect, I guess you can kind of like, wherever you don't belong, blah blah blah. But she's the one. But then she has another moment of herself, so you kind of like, oh, she's the bad guy. But then you have a general as the bad guy, and then but her moment, which I really enjoyed a lot, really what she made a promise to him. Do you remember when she employed him? And the only concern for him was his daughter's well-being. She goes back and even though she's already been kind of promised, I can't find that page, but she saves his daughter. She saves his daughter, even though she has so much pressure from the people surrounding her. She still does it, and she still does it correctly. I can't see it. I can't find the page now. But honestly, I really like that one, and all of the pages are fantastic.
Yeah.
That yellowing parts, that wasn't healing, actually. That was a murdering, apparently, because the guy who actually created the whole thing, when he took the child to him, he was actually trying to murder him. That's why he's been surrounded by this, whatever, the eyeballs we can't really know about and stuff. So
this is like, speaking of Brandon Graham, this is Brandon Graham, like the density of the pages and the characters, and then to open it up to layouts like this is beautiful in contrast with the previous pages and stuff. Yeah, it's just unreal. Yeah, exactly. Hold on a sec. Yeah, it's fucking bonkers, dude. It's fucking bonkers.
What's going on here? You kind of disgusted, but you're in awe. You like the way the elements of it, but then you like, it's kind of gross if you look, tend to, because your eye doesn't really know where, like, where to focus, but you focus. Is it beautiful? Because the way the color, okay, that's the thing, is the coloring what really makes it for you to kind of second guess yourself. Do I really like it, or am I appalled by it? Because it just looks so well done,
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gushing over it for sure, and he does really like eyeballs, in this.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah,
lots of
which
eyeballs,
I think fits in with the theme of it.
Yeah,
and that finger face that he's got there.
Oh yeah, that was gross. I was like, I was almost doing that to myself, kind of thing. Like when you see bugs on the body and you start to scratch yourself because you find out like, ugh. So yeah,
let's
really
see
good.
if I can find it. Hold on one sec. There was a show that I worked on many years ago, called Channel Zero, and that some of those panels reminded me of a character that was in that show. And seeing it in person, let's see here, share, there you go, can you see that?
Oh.
It's covered in teeth, and seeing
Oh
it
boy,
in
no, no.
person was unbelievable. It was a hell of a lot of work to get her into this. But yeah, this is the Tooth Girl makeup. So seeing it on screen, and some of the textures in this comic really remind me of this. And again, it's that still kind of feel of like, it's such an odd texture that I can feel almost in my own teeth, as when you look at these kind of textures, they kind of transcend and kind of leap off of a screen. Seeing it in person was pretty goddamn intense. I was part of a unit that was shooting some promotional material for it. So we got to work with her for like advertisements and stuff. And being that close to it was even crazier to see it. But yeah, the eyeball stuff reminds me of that all the time.
Because there's one more issue. It's very difficult for me to wait. Wait for until I usually order. So lately, because I'm looking forward to reading stuff like that, it's just like something I can't wait. It's like I just ask him to send it to me, because I know the longer I wait, and it's my memory, because it's so fresh still from those issues I was reading. It's like, no, I want to know. I mean, I've seen it. I don't want to miss it, because I can't whisper. But there's one more issue left. So
yeah.
So issue 6, 6 issues gonna be more than Little Bird, isn't it? Little Bird was 5, or was it?
I think so. Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, it wasn't that long either.
But I don't know what's conclusion really. I mean, I know the daughter stuff, but the boy situation, I'm still really baffled to really what can he. I mean, I know he's powerful to a point where he can dismantle and all that stuff, but then how far and how do you end the story, to be honest, because it's so beautiful to look at, and it's like, hopefully it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be disappointing, because for the artist, just for artists, so precious to have this in the format and have it monthly, because honestly, like you say, trumps a lot of work. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of follow him on socials, but I'm not sure if he's how long does it take him to do the panels? I also heard, like, when Travels told, apparently every single time the issue comes out, he's artwork for that issue comes out to buy, and it sells out in an instant, like half an hour.
Instantly,
it takes half an hour to sell all this work. So
I believe it.
So I mean, good for him. That's he's celebrating the man.
He's making some money. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, so that means
keep him interested in working some more. The more money he makes, the more time he can take off to work. And make more comics.
So I have a couple more.
Go for it.
A couple of more. Okay.
I do still have a couple more. Only 2 more.
Yeah, like I do. So I couldn't resist, eh? Hello, Paulo.
Hello, Paulo Costa.
I couldn't resist, eh?
Oh, yeah. Sucker. Who is it on this one? Who's the creative team?
Well, I said to you last time, because of Nick Dragotta is doing the Batman, and I'm a big fan of East or West. I wanted to really to see what he can do. Now, this explains a lot if you read this comic book. I had a giggle, not in a bad way, but now I understand why. There's a lot of intriguing things. So of course, this a different take on Batman, but it has kind of similar take on Batman. It's a part 1 of 5 apparently. So I haven't. Well, there's lots of Batman. My problem is there's a lot of Batman.
Yeah, right.
But in some ways, I was intrigued to see. Well, this is the Pennyworth, by the way. He's very intriguing character in here. I think he's had most of the limelight at the beginning of a couple of pages. So the story starts of him kind of like explain, like you have him, and I was like, okay, he takes off the helmet. It's like, I knew the Bruce is younger, so I was wondering who this guy is, who is going to be, blah, blah. So this is Pennyworth. So he's working for kind of almost 007 kind of vibe to him. So he's working for an organization who basically directs him to go and observe He's like I know, like a watchman, but in like your normal spy. He's a spy. He's observing, taking pictures, whatever they tell him. He's going to that location and blah blah blah. Seems to be he still have problems with his. He has a daughter. She's live in here. She doesn't reply to him, but now he's been asked to go to Gotham. Reason being that there is this group of a gang, not a group, a gang who basically murders anybody, doesn't matter, child, anybody alive, and the way they do it is usually quite gruesome. So this organization asked him to come into Gotham again, and to basically just observe. And the only time you can get involved if you see the bat. And of course, it's nothing new. Of course, there's going to be a bat in here because that's what and there. So there's gyms going, and you have this like your atypical scene. You would think like almost year one of Batman, where Batman's showing his skills, and you think that's him. And oh boy, you clearly don't know who Batman is these days. He's this guy. Is a big monstrosity of a man.
Right.
It's like proper, like he punches those sandbags and always disappears into nothingness. And the gym guy who owns the gym says, "Damn, you have to replace this again." And he's like, "Oh, we're not gonna get paid. I'm gonna replace it for you," because he basically anybody just like punches a couple of times, he just whacks it one time because he has so much pumped up energy and it completely collapses. It almost like the moment you saw in Superman, Captain America, Captain America movie when he's doing the punching, when he came back from being frozen, and he's so angry that he just whacks the sandbags and they completely shatter and they basically fall like 5 meters away. So it's kind of that moment. Nick Dragotta's art first. There's lots of moments are absolutely superb. Some of the moments feels a little bit rushed. Maybe I'm a bit picky and I have like really high opinion of his art. There's those kind of moments in here. It looks absolutely stunning. Some moments of action, his faces don't look right to me at points, but this is just being picky, okay? And generally, I think it's really stunning work. One thing I can tell you, another thing about this is hefty. You pay $5 for this, if you're lucky. Because it apparently got sold now in the third printing, apparently. This comic book, but it's a lot of pages, so it's not something you can. There's lots of story they telling you, give you a lot of information, introducing you to many characters. At what stage they are, it's kind of like unknown. In here, you have that gang's ship they belong into. It seems to like a black mask is a new way of looking at the Black Mask. Who is probably in charge of it, but it's a second guessing because it's all new and different, or all in, or absolute Batman, whatever take you want to go. But there are lots of like they killing even those mafiosos, like they put them in mental pieces and put them in display. And the people who they basically invited them, they murdered them right there in right center because they just how they want to deal with everything in Gotham. They want complete and utter control until, of course, you have Batman. And the way this is the first page of introducing Batman to you. And it's his suit is quite fascinating to look at because I think whatever fan of Batman was trying to say the opinion how they want to see the Batman, he kind of felt that way. The suit is wings, he can fly everywhere with that suit. There's no mechanically inclined. He is genius, but he's not your billionaire Bruce Wayne from The Money. His mom is the teacher. No, his dad is the teacher. His mom is a nurse. Or something like that. I'm confusing it because she's actually she's a reporter. His mom is there, reporter. She's the one who's, and this is Gordon. He's actually a mayor, not like he's a copper, but being elected mayor. So he's still kind of similar to what you kind of know of the Batman law, but with a different take. So a lot of happening in here. I enjoyed it, honestly. To be quite honest with you, enjoyed it. I'm intrigued with this group. As nothing new told, really. Yes, it is different to the Batman. What this logo thing is explained. I'm not gonna show it to you. I laughed because it's kind of obvious afterwards when you realize it. But I'm not gonna say it to you because it's quite a big thing, like spoiler thing. It's quite. If you could get hold of it and read it, it would be. It's really nice. But yeah, I like the memory parts of what happened to Dad. I think he was shot in the zoo while they were going for. Because Bruce Wayne's introduction to the Gotham and how he became what he was is we went to with his dad because he's a teacher to a zoo because he won a science competition, and as a reward they all went into a outing with the class, and apparently shooting happens. Dad locks everybody in all the classroom. Bruce is in the same class as his dad, which is kind of weird. But anyway, Bruce is in the same class. Dad shuts the door, says, "Do not get out no matter what you hear." And then you hear, like a blam. And then, of course, that's what happens. And yeah, it's good read. Honestly, I wasn't disappointed. I didn't feel like it was an absolute waste of my time to reading this. I'm probably gonna continue reading it to the point where it's not good enough for me anymore, but I enjoyed it. Was I completely sold on this? Probably not. But
Yeah,
I'm
right.
kind of glad I'm over it. Like I was curious about what they can do about it, because now this comic book is on eBay. It's like £20 a pop. Everybody's asking because of that how popular it was. It's sold out, so it's good for DC.
Crazy.
Good for. I mean, Snyder is always selling. You know what I mean? I don't dislike Snyder's writing, to be honest. I read quite like A Court of Owls or Batman, whatever. When Snyder was involved with Batman, it was intriguing enough for me. And see, in this way, how Batman uses Pennyworth, because basically when Pennyworth got involved because he was they watched the same group of bad guys, yeah. Pennyworth kind of had a confrontation with Batman as well, and they say, "Oh, you're just a novice little guy who, like you think you're a dude, but I am more experienced. Like I've been doing this for years." And then Batman basically steals his bike. It's like, what the? And he modifies it. When he steals it, he modifies it, and he's like, "Oh, so yeah, you're not that dumb as I was thinking you are," that kind of thing. But those moments, what superheroes does. How they will take further down the Batman, because there's introduction to the Joker, but not the way the Joker is. Of course, I was like waiting to see, because when that picture I showed to you, so all of them are classmates. So Selina Kyle, Penguin, all those your general bad guys, they all grew up together in the same classroom. So they know each other quite clearly. And they were like a bunch of group of friends, like besties. I can't find the picture now. So they kind of using that moment. So they don't really say, because the way Penguin was introduced, it was like a just normal dude, rather like when you being a penguin kind of thing. So I'm not sure where it will go. And the Joker, it was like a last splash page, which I'm not showing you. But it's like, oh, he doesn't laugh, so he's a joke, and he's been called a Joker. And it's like typical Joker introduction, really.
Yeah, right.
With a normal face looking guy, nothing your white face, like that, those Jokerized kind of things.
Yeah.
But honestly, as I say, I was curious due to Dragotta in doing DC books as well. I haven't seen Dragotta's work since East or West, because I didn't really kind of follow through. I didn't really follow him because I got distracted with other comic books. But seeing him doing the Batman, it doesn't spoil anything. I think he's really good at. It's like one thing I noticed. So East or West, there was the kid with the bubble mask. Seems to be the bad guys have a bubble mask, the black mask, or whatever. The bad guy also has. So maybe it's just the style how Dragotta goes. Like stylistically how he's using his abilities. But it just looks, intriguing enough, because, as I say, for the price, what you get from DC or mainstream comic book is a lot of information they gave you in just one issue. So you can hate it or love it. If you have a fresh eyes on Batman, you probably enjoyed it a lot. It's lots of action, like intrigue. Did it blow my socks off? That's definitely not. If you read enough Batman, it's really difficult for you to be completely blown away by it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Maybe when you actually have the whole idea of a storyline after, like, let's say 5-6 issues, whatever first rate will be, maybe then you can judge it and say, waste of my money, or it's a good time to see what they can do with it.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's going to be like a shorter run because it's a mini series, right?
Well, I don't know, to be honest.
Oh.
I really don't know what's this all new in is.
Mhm.
Is it long term? Was it short term? Sound like they wanted it's give a creators a line where they can do whatever. The new take on Batman, the new take on Wonder Woman, the new take
I
on
see.
all the lore, and like apparently the Green Lanterns, there will be introduction to new character, like a female character.
Mhm.
I don't really honestly. I am
Yeah,
going
selling old
those
rope,
kind
the
of
usual. Yeah.
yeah. I'm going with the eyes of I'm curious. I'm gonna pick it up. I read it, see what I feel about it. But I read
Yeah,
it
yeah.
through and through like in one go, and I wasn't bored. I wasn't questioning. I was just questioning sometimes, like artistic eye. I looked it up what Jokota could do, and some it just looked a bit weird. But this is how he draws it. To be honest, now
Mhm.
thinking back at it, so. But I like seeing him doing that. But yeah, that logo part,
Mhm.
I had a proper giggle. I was like,
Mhm.
oh my god. But then it makes
Was
sense.
it supposed to be funny or was it supposed to be
No,
serious?
I laughed due reason because it's so obvious when you see
Yeah.
it, and makes more sense afterwards. But why he looks like that, how he protects himself, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But I don't want to say what it is. It
Yeah,
would
right.
be
Yeah.
really nice for you just to find out by yourself.
Yeah.
It makes absolute sense afterwards, but it doesn't look great. I mean, as a logo, definitely doesn't look great, but as what they're using it for, that there's another Batman comic.
Thank
This
you very
character must
much. Yeah, yeah.
be.
What? Another one? If it's not Audio Adventures or
Yeah.
Gargoyle of Gotham,
Uh,
like those are the two that I could read those Batman titles all day,
Yeah.
every day.
The thing
But
is,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it didn't look horrible from what you were showing.
yeah. The only another thing is, when New 52 Batman came out, I wasn't yet coming to pick up comic books, so I never had started with Batman #1 issue. I jumped in the middle of it, so that's why I was curious. Okay, let me just pick it fresh to see from the get go, rather than later stage. I realized maybe I will be curious to read it. I'm just because of the artist. This is what drove me to see, and the whole controversy about his appearance and how he looks. I was curious to see what take will be. And he worked in construction. I didn't mention that he worked in construction. He worked in because he's genius. So he doesn't really he's poor with money, but his mind is rich.
Right.
Which what your Batman atypically is. He's a rich bastard with a very good mind on his head, which doesn't give us any of like ways. Oh, how you just have money, just pour it. Or he had the Fox guy. What is it? I forgot the name of the character. Lucius Fox.
Yeah.
So he was the genius. He was the mastermind behind all the gadget, and
Right.
here Bruce is the magic. He's the
Right.
one decides how he wants to look and how what is fascinating about bats. It's also quite intriguing because they mentioned the zoo part. Like I said, that's where the moment starts. So I don't know if that's intriguing enough yet, or is it disclosed enough information for you instead?
Our bookshelves are collapsing because they can't take the weight. Yeah. Nobody can take the weight of Batman.
But Sean is a big Batman DC fan, so.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised, but everybody's going on a hype train now because Snyder is doing something new with Batman. So
right.
I'm not surprised it's sold out. I mean, it's good for the Snyder. Let's hope he can pull the punches and actually go with it and see how we and keeps us intrigued. But it's very difficult. I mean,
it's very difficult because
the character's been done and done.
Yeah, done to fucking death. No offense, Sean, but done to fucking death. Like it blows my. And again, it's not like I don't fall prey to it because again, I enjoyed. I was enjoying Batman Dark Ages. Not anymore. But I really enjoy Gargoyle of Gotham. I think that's fantastic, but that's because I like that artist. And I think both of us absolutely loved Audio Adventures.
Oh, I'm
Like
a huge
that was
fan.
such a fun book.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like, fuck Batman.
So,
I'm
like
the
you
opposite. I
say,
see hype and refuse most of the time. Yeah, and
yeah.
same with me. I see the hype and just I'm so tapped out of most of that stuff that I see it on the shelf, but that's all. Yeah.
I'm surprised I honestly like actually went for it. I was thinking, no, it's another hype, blah blah blah. But everybody's hating the costume, like well, even Sean saying that he hates this absolute costume design. But when
Yeah.
you see what he's using that thing for and how and what it is, I'm even spawning that now. It's actually quite obvious now.
Yeah.
Doesn't look great, but a reason.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on,
So,
I've scratched myself here. I have all
oh my
these.
goodness.
I just need to get a Kleenex. So
Somebody needs to,
filibuster for a minute, as Ed Piskor used to say.
yeah.
Filibuster, Jimmy.
I'm not Jimmy.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Come on, female here. So yeah, the logo part is for it looks. I don't think I am ever extremely intrigued by the look of it. It's all the colors, but oh, I really like this part. Is there no spoilers? Okay, I'll show you guys. I like this panel because it's all using his bat suit to a purpose. Used to be all those boomerangs and all that stuff he's using. He's not. He's actually using his suit as a weapon, which is quite intriguing. I think a lot of fans were going for it. I only have one more comic to talk about, so I want to wait for things. And this shot here of his mother. She looks extremely young for her being mother. A reporter, but it's just the way I like the way she is, and his relationship with his mother is she's still alive, by the way. And Pennyworth is
Oh, his
looking,
mother is still alive in it.
yeah, and
Okay.
Pennyworth is using it as an advantage. It's a weakness of Batman, so she's a weakness now.
So Pennyworth isn't their butler in this world?
No, he's completely
Okay,
a different.
so just a
It's
spy.
he's a spy, his entity. Oh, there's another action scene I want to show it to you. He does use Batman bat thingies, but he's using them in tiny succession.
Mm.
You see how tiny those things he's using, the bat
Mhm.
wing thingies? You know those like
The batarangs?
yeah. So they are tiny.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's and even though as new as he is, he still doesn't murder. Every guy he basically popped. He didn't pop them. That's the thing. You felt like he could have, but none of them were stabbed. They was most of the time stabbed, or if he used whatever elements of it, all of them missing all the major arteries in order for them to survive.
Mm-hmm.
According to Pennyworth, because he's kind of commenting because he's observer, like
right. He's our eyes into the world, kind of.
And he
thing.
wasn't really listening to his employees because of that. The minute you see, because employees told him, and the minute you see Batman involved, you shoot him. And instead, Pennyworth was just like, "Wait a second, I'm just kind of looking and observing." Because it was fascinating to see.
Yeah. Okay, with all the new takes on Batman and the other characters, for the reasons that there are always new readers that have new tastes, we're tired because we always buy everything forever. Yeah, no, for sure. And I hear that. My argument against that is though that there's a million Batman titles out there. Anybody can pick up any Batman title. It's not. I don't think at this stage there's a bar of entry in the DC universe. Just the only bar of entry is that there's just so many titles. But if people are really into it and there's so much history, they're going to pick it up. There's so many places you could get into. And I would argue, I would love to see numbers on who's buying these new takes on Batman. Is it just the old fans who are just buying it and it's a number one and it's going to not sell anymore after that? Or is that percentage, is it 75% new readers? Because I could guarantee that well, I can't guarantee shit. My strong guess would be that the majority of people that are buying this are not new readers. They're old guys and women like us who are fans of comics and fans of Batman who want to see another take, who who are kind of buying into it again.
Mm.
I would gamble that number of new readers that are getting into Batman through a title like this is probably pretty small.
Mm.
Of course, I don't know that for a fact. That's just my take on it.
But the price of the books in general is very high.
Hello, Donald Rex.
For your child to, like, I want my son to be into comics, but instead of I buy them those smaller version
Yeah.
Books, graphic novels, which
Yeah.
are like like comic style graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't buy in single comic because I find it in myself. I find it quite pricey just for me to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
But to buy him that amount, the attention he actually. Okay, my son is about to be like, he's 6, so yeah, of course, there's the age of him in accordance, but it's also to keep him interested in it.
Yeah,
He
right.
still talks. So he likes TV show. Like, his favorite show is Teen Titans Go. So he likes all the, like, Robin and Beast Boy is his favorite because he changes in all sorts of animals. Because my son finds it hilarious because he acts up with a Cyborg, and Cyborg, like the two buddies who basically do absolute shit, like always get into trouble most of the time. And
Mm-hmm.
my son absolutely loves it. But I never want to. I was thinking I'm gonna buy Scooby Doo and Batman. I don't want him to do that. I am waiting still until he gets to the point and still considering where I'm gonna be in graphic novel style or in the comic book style. But comic books are really pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Get your child into it as
totally.
myself, a reader.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Cool. Your turn.
So one of the last ones that I read that I want to. Actually, I have 3 to talk about, not 2. But because I forgot about this one here. But the next one I wanted to talk about was the other Living the Line publication that I've wanted to get a copy of this since it first came out. It was first published, because this is the second printing. When did it first come out here? I think they have the information at the back. Hold on a second. Amuse yourselves. First edition, February 2023. And then the second edition is from August of 2024. So this is Eric Creek, The Exile. And it's at its very basics, like a Viking story. But what's interesting about this, beyond the art, which we'll look at in a second, what's really interesting about this is it's kind of historical take on kind of their sort of form of justice system. It's this character who's been exiled from Iceland for 7 years due to some shenanigans that he may or may not have been involved in. And I don't want to spoil too much because that's a big part of the story. I've looked at this in my comic shop for like the past couple of months. They've had 2 copies sitting on the shelf at Galaxy Comics. And every time I go in, I have a flip through it, because from the moment I first saw this art on the Living the Line channel, I was really taken with it. I just finally said, screw it, I'm picking it up. And I read it immediately, and it was really, really entertaining. I would say that the one criticism that I had was there was a lot of characters, and I found it really challenging at times to be reminded of who was who. They do this really good thing of, especially for the first bit, I kept referring to this early page here. They've got a layout of all the characters and who they are and in relation to one another as well too. And these are kind of like the 2 families that are sort of against each other to some degree in the story itself. So that really helped early on, and I started kind of getting a handle on it. There was still times though where I was a little confused. But overall, the story was really a really nice little story. He makes a really good point in the forward, like, listen, this is not a historical tale. This isn't to kind of introduce you to characters that really existed or situations from stories. This was, for the most part, completely made up. It's not in reference to any famous figures or anything like that. Like I said, the only thing that it sort of had reference to was this kind of a parliamentary system that they had, where I think they would meet once a year to work out any sort of beefs between people or families. And then, like I said, this exile that took place here and bringing him back into the fold when he finally comes back to Iceland. So great stuff. flawed characters throughout. Like there's really not that many kind of quote unquote good guys or bad guys. There's people you
Mhm.
end up liking a little more, but even kind of the main characters are pretty flawed, and I really like that in a lot of my books that I read. That's always something that's going to
Oh,
appeal to me. And the art is just really gorgeous, very minimal use of color. Kind of when he's doing his flashbacks is when you get these red, or he's kind of visiting this spirit world, which is basically his memories and people that are haunting him. You get this red hue. The rest of it has this bluish kind of gray color to it. And it does switch from a blue to kind of a really a lot more grayish kind of tone, but the rest is just the black and white. Bold stuff. The font, the text is really nice. Sean Robinson, I think is his name. He makes a point at the back of talking about when they let me see here. English lettering, Sean Michael Robinson, Graham Miller, and Fritz Jonker. English lettering based directly on the Dutch hand lettering of Fritz Jonker. So I guess in the original Dutch, because this is now in multiple languages, that I guess that was the letterer. So they based the English lettering off of his original text or his original font, which I think
mhm.
is fantastic to see that much care and thought put into how you're presenting somebody's work for another market. So strong recommendation. This was a really good book. And it's, again, it's this Living the Line channel, who, if you don't know them, they're well worth checking out. It's beautifully produced. Mine just had a couple little dings from when I bought it, but it's in really nice condition, really nice shape.
Hmm.
Um, what have I missed here? I was hoping the last comic you talk about today was mine, but The Exile is way better pick. What is your comic, Sean Riaz? What did you have out?
He produced a graphic
Uh,
novel.
sorry, say that again.
He produced a graphic novel. I forgot the name of it though. Sorry, Sean.
Oh, amazing. Tell us, plug away there, Sean. Plug away in the chat there.
Hmm.
Don't know Creek. Didn't know Creek. Check him out at Bedatech. He has an ongoing superhero parody called Gutsman, as well as a graphic novel adapting Lovecraft short stories. Amazing. Yeah, apparently he's very popular. There's a little write up about him at the back here as well,
Hmm.
talking about the work that he's done. I think he does some work. It's his first novel length graphic tale, published in the Netherlands. Yeah, he does all sorts of stuff. You can find his work everywhere, from record sleeves and posters to book covers, and in newspapers as magazines, as well as children's books. So he's a very, very much a working artist who has done this.
So did the
Um, yeah,
living the line. So now they're publishing the books. So they have they own like independent publishing house now.
that's correct. Yeah, which is great. And they've talked
Wow.
about it for quite a while. I think their first one they did, Paula will know the name of it. The Strange Case of Alex Raymond. Is that what it was called, Paulo? With Dave Sim.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was their first book, because I can't remember if it was Sean Robinson or the other guy whose name I'm blanking on right now, Carson Grubaugh, who
Mm-hmm.
was working with Dave Sim on that book. And I think
Mm.
that was the very first book that they published. Um,
Interesting.
and then I think this one was like right in that first kind of few books there for them publishing. And now when you go to their site, they're doing a bunch. I actually ordered 2 more of their books. Yeah, Strange Death of Alex Raymond. I ordered 2 more of their books from my local bookstore. They're starting to work with Ryan Holmberg, who's a kind of famous guy within manga who's translating manga into English. So they've got a couple of books where they've worked with him that look fantastic. Um, one is about Frankenstein, and I can't remember what the other one is called, but they looked really appealing. And having him, Ryan Holmberg, involved is really, that's a good thing. He's got a lot of accolades when it comes to translating stuff. Gore Vidal, nice to see you. I've been wondering where you are lately. Hopefully everything is okay. TMNT number 3 comes out this week. Good to know. I'll have to make sure that we get it.
Oh. How much we're gonna like about it? No, I'm not sure.
I mean, that'll be the question. Who's doing the art on the new one? Do you know?
Oh, it's the. Oh, come on, Rasa. You read this one. I remember. Hopefully, remember. I
Okay.
remember.
My comic Red got picked up by Cosmic Lion Productions, and the first 3 issues were released as a trade at SDCC this year. There should be a few copies left of that edition on their site. Beautiful. That's amazing. Congratulations. I wasn't aware of that. That's the first I've heard about that, Sean. That's pretty fucking incredible. So there you go, everybody. Check out Red. Sweet.
Because it's produced in the what is it? That Comic-Con is
Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con.
yeah.
Yeah.
So across the pond is not really quite something you can. I need to know somebody who actually been there.
Yeah, right.
But I looked. You posted and I follow Sean on social, so I can look
Okay.
see his work. So that he's bringing it out there. Cliff Chang is next artist of TNT. I have to look.
So at least we know the art will be nice. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. So apparently, Turtles editor is changed, and that's
really?
why some people saying that's why going to for some people.
Interesting.
But I'm not sure how much that's fact or fiction.
Yeah.
But because you find out on the socials, I didn't really look at in the official things who is, because I'm not really looking at editors. I'm looking at the product. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, that's
and I mean, I'm not saying that nobody can benefit from an editor, but I'm wondering how much a guy like Jason Aaron can benefit from an editor. I'm not saying he can't, but I'm wondering, like, he's got a bit of experience, unless they have something else to offer.
Oh, the
Days of Sand was in Portugal this weekend to present here adaptation of Lord of the Flies. Okay.
If you haven't read Days of Sand, it's actually a very nice storyline. It's a beautiful book. I read it from library. It's highly recommended.
Days of Sand, is that the Jim Henson one?
I don't know. As Amy De Jong did it, but I don't know if it's adaptation. I wasn't aware if it was an adaptation of something, but I really enjoyed her.
No, it's not. I'm thinking of something else. I'm seeing a picture here.
Really cool.
Yes.
I spoke at it on one of our chats.
Yeah. I recognize it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. And Mikhail will be here next week for Harlem, the 3rd book in his NY trilogy, Giant and Boot Black. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I really liked, out of those 2, I really liked Giant. Boot Black was good, but I liked Giant a little bit more. I haven't read Harlem yet, but I did hear that that's out now. Those are good if you don't know those, Rasa. Giant especially is really, really good.
I am familiar, I think, but I have not read it yet. Because like, if I find it, I read. If I don't, I don't. Juan Ferreira will be permanent. Oh, look at that! There is no confirmation now.
Well, there you go.
I'm not familiar with Juan Ferreira. Have I seen?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, Gore, what he done before? Maybe it will spur my memory somehow. So that it's going to be issue 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to know.
I thought there's only 4 issues first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what happened to the number 5?
Yeah.
Are they gonna skip it? It's like, oh, we're gonna start from 6. Yeah. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what do you got next?
My last thing. This is the one which took me forever to receive. I bought it for cheaper. This was difficult to get hold of.
Oh yeah.
I missed out. I slept on it. Is that IDW? I slept on this somehow. It came out. I knew the covers were absolutely fantastic. People were raving about this. It's quite difficult to get hold of them in single format. They came out with a trade pack. They didn't have a hardcover. They came out in a soft cover, which is not some of my first choice, but this was very cheap when I got hold of it. It took me about a month to receive it, but I did get hold of it finally. Granable. Oh, maybe I know that. Maybe. Maybe I do know it. Anyway, so Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is Patrick Howarth, first published work where he's a writer and an artist. And of course, he's using such a beautiful covers with a very sinister take on things. And it doesn't pull the punches. So we basically following this serial killer's life, to my surprise. So I didn't know nothing about it. I wasn't really looking at people's reviews on purposely because I knew there's something people, when people get excited most of the time, something quite intriguing. I wanted to see that for myself. And a sleepy town where what is it, Woodbrook, a sleepy town of Woodbrook, where our main character is living upon a happy life, where everything is celebrated upon, everybody's having this sleepy kind of type of life. The artwork is absolutely stunning, by the way. I really like this. It's very simple edge lines. This watercolor seems to be main media of use to the colors. Maybe just the way it feels. If it's digital, I'm not really sure how he works because I'm not really familiar with the guy. And the first issue, you kind of like get really mesmerized by these beautiful colors and this squishy animal characters talking to each other, having it, and then to my absolute surprise, and the spoiler, well, it's been around, spoiler alert, but this bear is extremely sinister. She's a serial killer who doesn't do murders in her own sleepy village because she doesn't want to taint it, but she's been murdering people, or animal, more, that word which I can't pronounce, and she's basically dissecting them or cutting them into nice pieces and put them in a paint buckets and then burying them. And apparently she's been doing that for decades. And nobody is suspecting. One thing I don't understand how this becomes okay is that your bear animal sees a bear, and it's like a man sees a bear, but it's not really a man, but it's a bear. I'm kind of confused in that part, how that works. But this is a really well, as I say, I was so surprised when you have straight out, not pulling punches, not even sleeping on kind of telling you the story in the background, but then actually doing it straight from the beginning, where she just basically plain simply murders somebody as a getaway to go to big city because nobody will miss the person. And then she comes back to her sleepy town and just does whatever she does, and usually have a drink, have a bath, just enjoying her life, and nothing for the matter. So basically she's absolutely like a mental case, where she actually even says to you from the get-go she doesn't understand these people, their emotions. She finds that she has to pretend most of the time to be normal, and then just to get along with it because this is how it makes her, I guess, survive and enjoy her life. And then she has a problem because her beautiful sleepy town gets a murder where nobody has expected to be, and it's spoiling her party. So one of the members of this sleepy town has been absolutely like dissected and displayed in a memorable parade that this town has always have. And from there onwards, she has started to have a problem because she doesn't want to be exposed or kind of being found out from her whatever other curriculum she's doing, and she's kind of like struggling to find the grips of herself, to understand how she finds the person, and the chaos this ensues in this little town who nobody's prepared for that, and it becomes a part where she feels uncomfortable and she wants to deal with it as soon as possible because she feels like there will be something more to it. And and afterwards, of course, we find out who it is. She finds the grips of it. There's another murder happening. It's really well told storyline. I'm just basically, and there's moments of this murders happening is quite intriguing. Of course, so I almost kind of felt like, because I just recently watched Dexter, I got caught up on Dexter, and it kind of really has the feel to it for that, with just having animal-based characters in the plot. but the way he's drawing it, how you would want, my son actually wanted to look at it because it's such a beautiful color. So like, nope, you can't look at it. It's too gruesome for you. This is not for kids. And it says for you. I think it does say somewhere on the book that it's not for kids. I think it's in the
Yeah,
page.
totally.
In the page. It's really nice, told story. It's really well done from the beginning to the end. Reads really well. And yes, artwork is absolutely stunning, and he's fought that through really, really well, completely and utterly. And if you haven't read this, it's a surprising hit in my books as well, but to the
Hmm.
point where I don't know if I want those beautiful, cuddly little things. It's almost like having your cuddly toys, you have had in your childhood, becoming that, what she is, and how she's like completely, utterly not there as what you suspect to be a normal being to be. She doesn't understand the
Right.
feelings. She's kind of like almost goes. So there's this funeral she's attending to, and she's like thinking in advance how she's gonna behave and how everything will be, how upset they are. And then afterwards she's almost at the back, she sits and she's observing everybody, and she's like, you have this dialogue where he's basically writing for you what she's thinking, and she's like, I suspect the people who are in this place at the moment not in the very best place in their head, but I presume the people who I have murdered in previous decades, she's been doing that for a long time, would be as unhappy because they can't find their loved ones. Yes, because they're all
Hmm.
missing. Because that's
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
her whole point is. The way she's been dealing with everything is that nobody sees her. She's been doing it meticulously. She at least she thought she did, but of course there's other things of who is behind this murders, who knew what she was doing, and that basically entailed to more stories how she had to deal with it and stuff. But I'm not telling you because it's kind of like tell you the whole book anyway. But honestly, it's a very really good read from the beginning till the end. It's very well thought. So Patrick Howarth is a cartoonist and filmmaker who actually lives in Los Angeles. And Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is published as a writer and artist, and hopefully many to come. So I was actually thinking it's Boom who took that, but it's IW, which I wasn't, as I say,
Uh-huh.
kind of, because usually the Boom takes people on that kind of realm, like
Yeah.
gives them a chance to do something book like that. But I heard good things, and I'm honestly not disappointed whatsoever.
Yeah, it's been everywhere. I've seen it everywhere in
Yeah.
recent kind of week or so.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
if
know when the collected came out, but I've seen it all over the place.
yeah, so it's 24 Canadian dollars if it's brand new
Mm-hmm.
things. But yeah, it's came out, as I say, singles. If you only
Yeah.
what 4 or 5 issues, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, I remember it was one of those books Jared Osborne was picking up, so I'd see him talk about it
Oh,
on
there you
his
go. That's the
Friday.
covers.
Yeah, there you go.
And they are beautiful covers. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was like looking at I don't know, and that's the problem. Sometimes the way I order my books is because I don't see them. Because I think
Yeah.
if I have seen it actual covers, I would probably would have picked it up.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, really cool. One of the stands out for sure. One of the best, like a serial killer type of stories I've read from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really contains storyline. It gives you everything. Your character is well established. You kind of hate her. You kind of like not. I wanted her to find some the other killer for purpose of other killers to be found, but the way she did it and what she did it in generally to survive, it kind of like worked for her own benefit. But anyway, that's as much as I'm gonna say. But it's really good.
So the new TMNT artist, he worked on some Green Arrow books. That's all that I know. And then let's get the banner. Let's get the banner. Hot book alert. Hot book alert. Hot book alert. Gore Vidal coming to us direct. Hot books at my LCS last week. Absolute Batman. Even though the owners told customers to reserve a copy months ahead of time, many didn't. It sold out, and online it was selling for $30. Madness. Yeah, Rasa's in there. You should have bought doubles, Rasa. You could have made $30 whole. Terrence, I enjoyed Zatanna 1-4. Awesome. Based on your recommendation, The artwork, which reminds me of Steve Root and Jaime Hernandez, yes, was the selling point. The 5th issue comes out this week. Oh, great. Perfect. That's good to know. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you liked it. I love the book. It's so much fun. And it's for me, it's all about the artwork as well, too. A friend of mine who was a manager at the infamous Alamo Drafthouse, infamous theater, had to deal with angry parents who wanted to take their 7 and 8-year-old kids to see Terrifier 3.
What?
I'd say that's probably not for 7 and 8-year-old kids.
From
A woman
Scotland
who
stuff?
lived here, Kira Janice, I think was her name. She had worked at the Alamo Drafthouse, and then she came here, and I'm not sure where she lives now, but she's gotten into kind of documentary filmmaking and stuff, and writing books and stuff. But Alamo Drafthouse is infamous theater, really great. So I'll just talk quickly about these last two. I'll start with this one because this is the one I have the least to say about, because I loved it. And as I expected, this is the final issue of Hate Revisited. And as I expected, I don't want it to end. Like I want 20 more issues. I feel like at this point, he's really gotten into the flow of storytelling. I love the kind of flashback stuff mixed with modern day. So when he does these flashback stories, they're in black and white. And then when we catch up with some of these characters now, like this is his brother Butch, it goes to color. So this is the modern day stuff. I want lots more of this, and I really wish that he would do more. And we get another appearance by young Stretch Pants, who's grooming who, and it made me laugh out loud. It's so goddamn funny. It's really inappropriate, and it's just goddamn hilarious. Yeah, this kind of man baby who wants this hunk of a babysitter and starts to talk to you about ways make touching seem normal, and kind of initiating this this kind of personal contact, invitation to physical play, and then of course it ends up with well, I've pinned you now, so I pinned you. That means I get to kiss your wiener. What? It's just kids stuff. And of course, well, if that's the way it goes, I guess there you go. So it's so goddamn funny. This was a fantastic issue. And like I said, every single issue has just gotten better, because the first issue really left me like, uh-oh, is this not going to go any sort of direction? I love that we get to revisit these characters and see where they are. And I just want more of this. So I really hope that this was successful for him, that he does, that he's convinced to do some more, because I'd follow along with that easily month after month. And then the last one that I got, 204 Comics. Every once in a while, some of the comic shops around town surprise me. They got something from Strangers Publishing by cartoonist Pat Aluzio, Aulizio, I think is how you pronounce it. Cole County Outbreak. I think this is a second printing. Yeah, second printing as well of this one. I know Pat's work. I've had some of it in the past. It's not stuff that's really spoken to me very much. This one, however, was fantastic. So the good thing that 204 Comics does is when they get in some new books, when it's kind of been a month on the shelf, they'll put it in the back issue bin and knock $1 off of it. So this one was in kind of, they have filing cabinets now in their shop as well, where they have back issues. So this was tucked in one of those filing cabinets. It's really great. They say it's based on a true story of these women escaping from prison. We get pages like this where they're going through the duct work, and the duct work gets narrower and narrower and narrower. So I love that kind of visual storytelling there is great. And then it dramatically turns into a horror comic, which was a real surprise, and a damn good one. Like, it's a really fun, it's a very, very quick read, but it's so much fun. And his art is kind of that really nice, kind of rough around the edges art, which works so well with the story. It's a little bit smaller than a regular size comic, and I think that format works for it as well. Strangers is a great publisher. There you go. So they get overtaken by these insects that kind of bury their way into you and into your body, and they sort of turn you into a zombie of sorts. And you end up kind of spitting out all of these insects to infect other people. So they've kind of fallen through the ductwork and discovered this cave, and that's where they've come across all these insects that are slowly starting to take them out one by one. But this is really great, falling into the water, and then just that transition of them coming out of the water, the two survivors. So good, man. I was really surprised. Like I said, I know his stuff and it hasn't really blown me away in the past, but because this was a bit cheaper, especially honestly because it was Strangers Publishing too, that was another selling point. I'm willing to give some of these publishing companies a chance, no matter who the person is. So that was another high recommendation this week is this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I read.
I forgot I started reading your neat stuff.
Hey, yeah, nice.
Because you just mentioned, but I didn't finish, but I finished the first story of which is Discover in Tales. Yeah. I've never read neat stuff, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I was like intrigued to see so it's all about this girly girl and the other guy. Yeah. What is
Chucky
name?
Boy.
Chucky Boy, yeah. And then they going into I guess there's in summer holidays where you put your kids away for while you work camps, a camp. Yeah. So they basically go into the camp and discussing what's going to happen this year. And of course, to their amazement, they're having this amazing caretaker who's going to be in charge. And she's like, okay, now I'm going to give you names. And it's like, why do I have a name? Why do you, like that kind of conversation? Mm-hmm. And it goes to a point where she's kind of like, and this girly girl, she's like never pulls the punches. And she always thinks about the bad stuff. She always thinks about, like a decapitation. She's like, okay, we're just going to do arts class this year. Because we can't afford the insurance, or it's a bit cheaper than to insure basically themselves instead of doing sports. So she gives them out names in here, and then they like, okay, and the boy, again forget the name, sorry, but he's like, yeah, okay, I'm a turtle. So she gives him a name of the turtle. So he agrees, and he looks like a very agreeable kid, and she's opposite. She's like, oh, I need. She's like, I'm gonna call you. What she said she's gonna call you? Oh wait. Tweety bird. No, a sparrow. Mm-hmm. No, first of all, she says a sparrow. She's like, Sparrow? Are you serious? And afterwards, what about Tweety bird? She's like, what are you talking about? So she was like really disagreeing. And from that point onwards, she just basically disagreed to her all inventions and stuff. And to a point where she basically made her lose the plot and she quit. Because every single time they were having a conversation, she felt girly girl. She felt like she's always hates her because the way her opinion is about too strong opinion. I want you to think about the happy things. She's like, why? Well, I'm telling you the truth. It's like, no, but I want you to be happy. Like good examples, She's like, and every single other kid's like telling her everything good things, and she's basically loses. And she quits the job. She gets to like absolutely kerfuffle, like absolutely shouts. She used to be such a nice lady, and then she shouts to a point where she quits, and all the kids who were in the same camp like telling her off. The girl is like, "How you done it now? We don't know what we're gonna get." And they get a douchebag, literally a bully of the child who's basically in charge of them. I don't know how they get him in charge to be, but then he's like proper pulls the kid's nose apart, like his nose. I don't know why his nose is all. That's that's why they call him a turtle. I guess that makes sense to me. But he pulls his nose back and he basically yanks it to a point where he's like cries his eyes out. Then he talks about other kids and he's like, okay, we're gonna do a competition. Who's gonna run into this mountain? And whoever runs into a mountain first, I'm not gonna bully him. And then the girly girl says to him, so why are you not going? Like it's a competition. He said, because I'm a clever guy. I have a motorcycle. So he basically takes the motorcycle with a neat girly girl. And she's like, and he's like, we're having this conversation. It's like a deep conversation. And she's like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And he's like, yeah, of course you do. Because I'm, like the cool guy. But the dude wins. The boy who basically they meet him halfway through. And he tells him, go to this other direction. And he's like, okay, I don't have a choice. And he thinks that he's going to die because it's like this treacherous road to go.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, and he ends up basically winning. And he gets like really angry. And he actually tries to run him over. And instead of running him over, he actually falls off the cliff and he dies. And they get accused of basically killing. First, one is losing a job because she quits, another one killer like dies. So they
Yeah.
basically, so the bully who basically was about to attack them, they got accused of his basically murder almost, but because
Right,
they're
right.
kids, they can't really kind of like get them, and instead they got this Nazi. Like next person who was in charge, she has a Nazi tattoo, and like a sailor things, and they basically cleaning the toilet now. So they've done it for themselves. So it's as far as I went, and I haven't read. I haven't
It's
finished reading it.
classic. I
So
mean,
yeah,
it's classic stuff. Like that's where the Buddy Bradley and the Bradley
yeah,
family started,
yeah,
and it's just classic early Pete Bag stuff. Like
yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's like
funny, it's kind of absurd. It's so
18,
great, man. So good.
1989, the
Yeah.
production year. So and so many great stuff and advertisement in the back, like
So many great advertisements.
like
Yeah.
all like the splash page of Love and Rockets for sale.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man! In that time, you had that on the shelves. Like, I was gushing over it a lot. So yeah, that's the main advertisement point of this one. Is the Love and
Cool.
Rockets. And all this, like, you gave me one of this. I think this comic you gave me.
Yeah, the Mechanics. I think I sent you 2 issues. Yeah, there's still one more of those that you're missing. I think number 2 or something. I'm keeping my eyes out for it.
And they are I don't see on. I mean, I only looked at on eBay stuff because I don't have comic book shops like I say around me. But yeah, it's like it's honestly I really like this format. I mean, the more you get exposed to format like this, sheer size of that, it's like, geez, I wish I more of it. But yes, like imagine having so many of these to actually keep. All your our filing cabinets doesn't even fit. Yeah. It's not even sheer size of a shelf. It wouldn't even fit in the actual drawer. It would be too big.
That's my magazine boxes stacked in there, and there's a couple of them that are filled with at least one of them that's filled with Fantagraphics, because there were so many of those magazines at that time, right? And I agree with you. Like that format is such a good size. You really get to get into the art. Yeah, it's great.
I'm so happy because I'm so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you dug it. That's great.
Well, thankfully you exposing me to something. I've never even. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen Peter Bag quite often because of your videos. So in that sense, I am. But when you actually yourself, you have experience of reading and seeing the art on the. This is how you basically get to know. That's why, honestly, if I watch it online or I do it like I used to read on a tablet, it's very different experience. I can tell you for sure. My mind doesn't really want that kind of physical. Like I need physical medium. Basically, what I'm trying to say. I really like to touch it. I like to open the pages. I like to absorb and see what is there, what is not there, and it's really good. So I'm really lucky to get me those 2 issues. There's another one you gave me, which I'm looking forward to read this.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
So
that might have a Studs Kirby story in there. Studs Kirby, another one of my absolute favorites from the Neat Stuff. And then they did a collection of Studs Kirby collection. I love Studs Kirby. Is very, very funny, and it's very much of that time of like that shock jock kind of radio host and stuff, because that's kind of what he is. So I don't know that, because I think that character on the front cover is Goon on the Moon or something. Yes. I think his name was.
Yeah, it says right away, Goon on the Moon.
Yeah.
And then there's like 3 stories, 4 stories, 5 stories.
Yeah.
6 stories of Goon on the Moon, and Junior is next one on.
Oh yeah, Junior. Yes, Junior is good too. Yeah.
So Junior, I can't see any other face painting. And it says pervert. Oh yes, that's Kirby.
Yeah, there you go, Studs Kirby.
Shares your outrage. What are you sharing about? Studs, I'm calling to express my outrage over the events that have recently taken place in our community. Oh, such as? Well, first there was a sordid incident where that sick fellow chopped his mother's head off because she refused to marry him. Yes, that's his tragic tale. That's the start of the story.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a DJ, yes?
Yep.
Ah,
And
okay,
at that
yeah.
time, like there was all those shock jocks that were getting really popular. There was even a
Yeah, yeah,
movie. What
yeah.
the hell was that
Wow,
movie
there's
called?
lots
There
of
was a
it.
movie basically about one of the shock jocks that got killed, I think, but I'm blanking on what the title of it was right now. But yeah, it was very much a thing at that time.
Jim. Remind me of Jim? What's Jim?
Yep, Jim. That's Jim Woodring. Yeah, one
Oh,
that was
yes.
one of my first comics. That's the guy who did Frank, that character
Frank.
Frank. That's all silent. But
Yeah,
yeah, Jim is just. If I ever find cheap ones of those, I'll definitely pick
yeah.
you up. It's just those I never see. I never
Okay.
see those out there for cheap. They're always the rare times that I do see
And
them. They want a couple more dollars for them.
more neat stuff advertisement. And the
Yeah.
Bradleys, by the way, you mentioned.
Yeah, so the Bradleys started in neat stuff and then they went on to do their own. There was a collection. I've got a collection of Bradley stories from neat stuff.
It's
Yeah.
just having the Fantagraphics things. It's not, as I say, rare things for me to see.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't when I was doing the comic book art and stuff. I wasn't yet like really going into it. The more we were talking the 9 years.
Yep. Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess I was
yeah,
educated right.
yeah,
I got an education. Then understand there's
yeah,
more
right.
to comic books than what you think it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah. So
Well, I mean, again, that's the beauty thing about YouTube. Like it happened to all of us. Like I got exposed to a lot of shit that I
mm,
never would have heard of because it was just outside of my realm, right? So I mean,
mm.
that's the beauty of having all these chats all the time and being around for this length of time. Like the amount of stuff I've gotten turned on to because it was in someone's video is just too many to count, which is that's fun to me. That's really great.
Did you hear the Dave Stevens books with his covers is shooting up in price again?
It is shooting up because the woman in town here who was selling that collection,
Mm-hmm.
she did pretty well, I think, on the Dave Stevens covers, or there's one Dave Stevens pinup page within it, or he did the back cover, and those ones were selling pretty quick. Yeah, so
I don't know
they've
what's
really shot
happening.
up in price. It makes me want to like grab the ones that I have and see what they're going for.
The girl on the with like a spacesuit. Really,
Yes,
it's from the. So I always wanted it. It's
it's
gone
my
up.
favorite.
It's gone up in price by. Well, now I don't remember the price now, but I remember it's like some people are like if it's a really good quality, like in the hundreds now, and they never read
Really,
that
hey?
before. Yeah. Hmm. And then one book which I regret not getting from Dave Stevens was that one.
Right.
It's from that the Dark Horse whatever it's called. What is it called? I'm blanking now.
Is it this one here?
Mm-hmm. It's probably that
Is
one.
this the one you're talking about?
Yep. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Outer Worlds. Yeah.
Alien Worlds. It's one of my favorite. I have a copy. It's my favorite Dave Stevens. There was a time where I was
25?
considering getting another sleeve. Yeah, because I got these when they were in the 50-cent bin. Like when I was picking up PC comic
PC.
stuff,
Yeah.
nobody wanted this shit. Like nobody wanted it, and they were all over town. And they couldn't sell these when they were priced at like $2 a piece.
Check the
So this is one of my
CGC.
favorites. So I was considering getting another sleeve at one point, and it was going to be very graphic and cartoony. And I wanted to kind of base a character loosely off of this, not get this exact thing, but I loved the design of this. So I wanted to incorporate this in part of my tattoo, but it's my favorite Dave Stevens. Yeah, I've got this whole run of Alien Worlds. It's really good stuff. But yeah, that is one of my all-time favorite covers. It's just beautiful.
Yes, the CGC is. Wait, I'm going to do it on my phone. CGC, Dave Stevens. So you know the Cheval Noir Dave Stevens one, number 7, and somebody's asking almost 400 quid for it. CGG one.
Oh really?
400. I can't even see that. Alien stuff is so popular now that you can't even see other. What is it? No, it's not. I don't see it now. Oh yeah, well, 9.8 version, 100 or 200 basically pounds. They're asking.
Oh wow.
And it never reached CGG. It never reached that level. So yeah, so some I don't know why, but then there has to be a moment why they're going for Dave Stevens stuff again. Is it because somebody's spoken something that we're gonna?
I guess. I mean, he's one of those guys that I think he's just getting more popular as time goes on.
Mm,
Where's this picture here? He's getting more popular as time goes on.
mm,
Um, I think he's just one of those evergreen kind of guys, right? Like he's never going to not be popular because he's that real pinup artist. He's got that lineage. So this
mm.
Crossfire is one that I found that I have as well too, with a Marilyn Monroe cover.
Uh-huh.
Another beautiful Dave Stevens as well. And even when I found it, I was lucky. I mean, I think I paid like $5 or $10 for it, so it wasn't like from a 50-cent bin. But I know that this one has gone up to
Mhm.
because at the time I was reading this Crossfire, I was reading the whole run, and
Yep.
it was taking me forever to find this issue because of the Dave Stevens cover, right? Which is
Yeah, because
always
it,
the thing
and
that
it's
pisses me off as a
also
reader. You can't find the stuff, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then this Crossfire and Rainbow, that
Oh,
was another Dave Stevens cover.
I didn't even know this one he had.
Mr. Monster. So yeah, he did a lot of stuff for Eclipse Comics, and I've got all of this stuff, so that's why it makes me feel like, ooh, should I really? But then I don't really want to break up my Eclipse collection because I'm
Well,
been
if you had
working
the
on it for so
spares, then
long.
you could, yeah.
Sorry, what's that?
If you had the spare one, then it would be nice to get
Yeah,
home.
exactly. But I
Yeah,
don't have
this
spares,
one is very
unfortunately.
popular. The Airboy
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, that last one there. This
and
is another one that's pretty popular.
the Rocketeers' first appearance in which comic I forgot. Uh,
Rocketeer was in.
um, you know,
Oh, what the hell was that called? It was a Pacific Comics title, I
yes,
think.
yes,
So,
exactly.
but I
So
can't remember what the hell it was. Star Blazers or Star something. I can't remember what
no,
the hell it was.
Star Reach,
No, not Star Reach, but let's
something like
find
that.
out.
Yeah, so that book is now actually people are looking for now because finally
Star
reason no
Slayer #2. Star
doesn't
Slayer.
there you go something star anyway.
Yeah, it's one that I don't have. I've got a bunch of the Star Slayer comics, but I don't have.
I
This
have
one was always one that I could never find because it's always been pricey. It's never not been a
mine
lot of
is
money.
I have a copy, but mine is like like used.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I have a copy, but it's not in the best, like 9.86. It's not brand new. Yeah, that's the one.
So there's one on eBay right now for
Hmm.
$60 Canadian,
Yep.
which
That's the
doesn't
first
seem horrible, honestly.
because you have supposed first appearance of Rocketeer in there. It's
Yeah,
first Dave Stevens' work on Rocketeer as well,
yeah,
published comic book format.
yeah, and then $21 shipping. But yeah,
Oof.
there you go.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
always the killer.
yeah jumped all across the clips. Oh yeah. Rocketeer
After
had
Star
lots
Slayer,
of
each
things.
chapter of Rocketeer jumped all across Eclipse magazines. Yeah, Eclipse, and then wasn't there stuff at Pacific as well too? But yeah, there was then a bunch of,
Mhm.
and then it kind of went beyond that. But yeah, I've got most of the other stuff. I have it, but I just
Yeah.
don't have that first appearance. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that's the thing that's hard about this kind of comics game, right? Like when I hear, because I've been hearing this for a while about Dave Stevens, and it
Mhm.
really wants me because I know I could turn those books in because they're in beautiful shape.
Yes.
I know I could make some money off them to buy other comics, but I just really don't want to break up the collection. I want to keep the Eclipse books because that's pretty much all of those boxes up there are filled with Eclipse comics.
Yeah, you went on the like what did you do it like several years just going for those? Like yeah,
It's
I'm
been
going.
years and years and years. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a complete catalog of all the Eclipse stuff. Then there's a bunch of it on the bookshelf here. Then there's some magazines in the magazine boxes. Like there's tons of it all over the place. And I sometimes look at it and go, man, I could get rid of all of that and I could make myself so much more room. But there's so much good things in it, like the
Yes.
Kamui there,
Yeah.
the manga is such a fucking good read. It's coming out next year, I think, from Drawn and Quarterly,
Is it?
and I can't wait to get my hands on reprints because what we got in North America at the time when that was coming out was just the smallest fraction of all the stories that were coming out from that series. So I'm hoping that Drawn and Quarterly has that plus more, and they're
Mhm.
doing I think they're doing in like tankobon kind of size, like the original kind of format.
Oh.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I've already put it on my list with my comic shop so I can get myself some copies because that's one I would easily double dip on because it's such a good story. So there's
Mhm.
stuff like that in the boxes that I just don't want to get rid of.
I like it actually. I whatever the covers I have from the is the one probably. I mean, I read the stuff inside it. Like I read all the, like whatever I got hold of those Eclipses books, but I really
Mhm.
like, honestly, one of the most beautiful covers I of the comic book, which I kind of like wanted that for, like that alien chick, Outer Worlds. I don't think it's ever stayed with me, the storylines inside it. But I
Yep,
honestly want, just for cover. This is the only comic book I kind of like. I know that lots of people just buy comic books for covers as well, which
totally.
is,
Yep,
but this is the one which I always regret not having it because I really
yeah.
like it. I haven't, yeah. So I find that really nice.
Alien Worlds, Alien Encounters,
Mm-hmm.
Vanguard Illustrated, like all of those were, they really seemed like they were sort of Twilight Zone mixed with 50s horror short
Yeah.
stories and stuff. And they had some great creators. There was a lot of really good stuff in there. I agree with you. There isn't, when I think of that series, there's not like one story that jumps out at me as like, oh my God, that issue was amazing. They were just fun reads. And like I said, at the time here, they were all over the place and they couldn't get rid of them. Every box I would look through would have Alien Worlds and all these books in it. And so I would just buy them up for
Mm.
dirt cheap because again, that was when I decided I really wanted to collect Eclipse comics. So it was super easy to fill in so many gaps. But that was like, shit, man, 10 years ago now at this point, probably.
Mm.
So, and I mean, not that Dave Stevens wasn't popular then, but he's really grown in popularity over that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
He's really kind of blown up, like you said, very recently as well, too. So,
Yeah. Because I
and then
even
you just
seen.
get some gems like, again, I've talked about this in the past, but like this Eclipse book, this
Mhm.
Toadswort Amplestone by Tim Conrad. This is an amazing book. It's such a great story, and the art is
Mm.
so fucking beautiful. So the beauty of kind of digging in deep with some of these
Mm.
publishers, these
Mm.
older publishers, is you just get turned on to so much stuff that I never would have known about. So
Yeah. I wonder when is the
okay.
Helena Windhorn last issue gonna come out?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that last issue just came out a week or two ago, so I
Mm.
imagine not till next month at this point.
Mm.
Another one that I kind of don't want to end, honestly. I kind of want that to continue on for a
Uh,
while
so now it's
because
two
I'm loving
books
it.
out of my puller, so I'm now already. Oh, there's new Rick Remender book gonna come out next year.
Oh
He's
yeah,
already advertising. I don't remember the name of it, but it looks interesting because the cover is, I don't think I have it now on socials. I could show it to you guys, but yeah,
hmm
he's already advertising and he's actually signing in new people who's going under his image giant, whatever that guy is.
Giant generator. Yep.
Yeah, so he's already getting a couple more nice names in it as well. So it
Oh,
seems
that's
to
cool.
be, so yeah, it's getting popular in that time. I'll mention next time if I find out more information. But
I've
yeah,
started seeing. I think I saw a third print of Gromit's #1 out there,
Oof.
so that's doing well enough that they're doing second and third prints of some issues.
Yeah.
And the third print, I almost bought the third print because it's got like the original art of that, so it's like the actual artist board.
Hmm.
That looks pretty great with the lettering pasted in and stuff. I was gonna pick up another copy for myself, but I let it pass. But that's good to see that it's
Hmm.
getting reprinted, that it's getting that popular. So
Yep. Cool. All right,
cool.
I'm
Okay.
done with info now.
Right on, everybody. Thanks very much for hanging out. The usual crowd. Gore Vidal, nice to see you. Paulo Costa, Sean Riaz. Who else was here at the beginning? Donald
Sleepy.
Rex, always good to see you. Off my shelves. Thanks for stopping in. Sleepy Reader and Lord Tatman. Uh, hopefully we're back next week. Oh, no, we won't be back next week. Um,
What happened now?
or maybe we will. I don't know. We'll talk about it online. But maybe we'll be around. And if so, we'll be at La Rasa's channel. So if you don't know La Rasa's channel, go and subscribe and join us there probably next week. But yeah, right on. Thanks,
Get
everybody.
across there.
Later.